AJ, tell me that's not a fucking kick-ass thumbnail.
That's a good one. That's a pretty good one. I like
What
it.
we got here? The
All right.
hand reaching
Yeah.
out from the ground.
I approve.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
All right, let's cue the cat. Here we go.
You cat. Because I want to say what's up to Gaming with Dave. Hello, everyone.
Oh, it's Game with Dave.
Funny TTV. Thorns, the game cat.
Who's up,
Mach
Dorrance?
22,
Who's up,
the game
Dorrance?
cat, the
I'm up,
sub
Dorrance.
cats. I'm just here for the shout out. Well, there's your shout out. J Films, Big
Come the hell out.
1909, Ash 454, the potion shop. Hello. What kind of potion? Health potion? Mana potion?
Take
It's
to
red.
the potion shop.
It's red, so it's probably a health potion. Gamer Chick 13, what's up, Tiffany? More Skydance in the house. JCVR. AJ the Doctor. I am AJ, not the Doctor, nor nearly
One day,
qualified.
you could be one day if you stick with it.
Hibsy the Game Cat. Who else we got? Doug Food, Ninja Cat, Dennis Manguso, Delirium True VR, Muted Unknown, Berber Cat, Hack the Game Cat, It's Lit, Lipnox88, Rody the Game Cat, Trusty Mods. Shout out to all the mods in the house tonight, taking care of business. Andrew Bailey, Elbert, Yo Yo Yo, Asher Holloway, Commons Bean the Cat Game, Donatello, Pastor Ninja Slice, Patty N, Joe Grover, said Joe Grover over, Kill Artist, The Dream, Game Cat, Nick Mulo, another mod, Great Titch, JB, Kevin Knight, Tolos, Gabe, Nick, Tax Refund, Desert Drift. Hello, everybody.
All right. That's a lot of people. A lot of people waiting. I think everyone's here to see Mark. So maybe we should just get the show started. How do we do this? We do this by doing... There we go. What's up, everybody? This is PSVR GamesCast Live, where we film live every single Thursday night at 6 p.m. Eastern. And then we bring it to you live, because that's what live means. You're already here, so you understand what I'm trying to say. And if you see it later, then all of this is irrelevant. My name's Brian Paul from this channel right here. And the gentleman to my right, we got Dave from Dave Station VR. What just happened? Can you guys hear?
Muted.
Oh, damn it. What a great way to start this show.
Sorry. It was a really lame intro, too. I would just like, hey, guys, hope you're having a good Thursday or something like that. I don't know.
And then we got AJ from The Underground, PSVR Underground.
What's up, Brian? Dave, Game Cats, and of course our special guest Mark. Hope you guys are all well.
Everyone,
Mark, Mark Domowicz. Is it Domowicz?
Domowicz, you got it exactly right.
We just had this conversation, and then I was on the spot and I totally forgot. Project director over at Skydance Interactive, developers, Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. Man, you don't even know what you're in for.
We should say briefly also that we're very glad to have Mark on the show today, of all days, because we just released our top 25 list for PSVR, and the number one game just happens to be the one that he was working on, called The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. So couldn't be more serendipitous to have him on the show today.
Can I say that we were watching that episode at the office?
Oh, God, the whole thing? I hope not.
I'm not sure if we were watching the whole thing, but we watched sort of like the last hour. We were in a meeting, and we stopped the meeting when you guys had sort of like settled on us.
Oh, my
and
God.
we were like, oh, we got it. They call us number one. We were all super happy.
That's incredible. I love the concept of like a legitimate business stopping their business to look at what we're talking about.
See us yelling at each other.
I got to say that putting a game out nowadays is really different. Well, a game that has some sort of notoriety, it's so different than it was, years ago. Like I started in 2001. I worked on this game called Mercenaries. It was like for PlayStation 2.
I played Mercenaries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Definitely played that.
Yeah, I worked on that. And in that era, you just put it out there. It'd be printed on a disc, and then like maybe a month later, you'd see some feedback. Someone would write a letter in a magazine that you read.
Yeah.
But nowadays, like I wish you guys could have been there for our launch. Like literally the day that we put it out there, we were just watching Twitch, watching people play the game. We were in there typing to them and telling them, what to do and giving pointers and stuff. So it's like the experience, this sort of like social media, YouTuber, influencer world is so different than it was. It's great. I love it.
I mean, it's exciting for us as much as it's exciting for you, I think, because like to have somebody, the thought of playing a game and then the person who made it shows up in your chat and talks to you about like what you're doing wrong and like, oh, you should probably, slice him this way. It's kind of mind blowing when it happens. You're always like, wow, I'm like one step away from the person who created this thing. And it's a cool moment. And I think for you guys too, to see people just enjoying it, poking at the edges of it. I'm going to take a tip real quick. Is that cool?
Brad, do it up. Absolutely.
That's Tree Guy with $5 from Bell Ramio, the Game Cat. He says, made it right on time. Here is pizza. Oh, wait, fruit bowl money. Brian's watching his figure, so no pizza, just fruit bowls.
I'm saving all of the tips and donations up for when I hit my goal weight. I'm just gonna eat my way back to my original weight. I'm gonna just
In
keep
one
the
day.
pizzas. Just gonna keep them coming. So don't worry, that pizza's gonna show up eventually.
Brian's doing a 12-hour mukbang live stream for charity. If you guys don't know what mukbang is, it's
I
when
don't-
people just eat stuff on camera. It's a big thing.
What? That can't be a real thing.
It's a real thing. Look it up.
Dave just shows up and makes shit up.
It's no, it's seriously. I think it's Korean. Anyways, continue.
Oh
I'm
man,
seeing a lot of love for mercenaries. That's nice. Thanks, guys.
right?
Oh,
Nice.
everybody loves mercenaries in the chat.
Dude, so my favorite thing to read, and I don't know if Dave or AJ remember this, they can attest. They're some of the few people that have ever been in my apartment. My favorite thing to read are electronic gaming monthlies from like when Mercenaries came out. The
Oh,
PS2
yeah.
era is my favorite, right? So I've just got like literally the entire collection of electronic gaming monthlies, and it's so funny to see games that like like the game came out like the month before, and then they have the review in Electronic Gaming Monthly. It's all just what you were talking about earlier, where it's like you get immediate response from when you put out a game and you know immediately what people are saying about it. I can't imagine having like print media be the only way that you know anything,
Right.
like how people are responding to your game.
Oh, and it's good for everyone too. Like even on a practical level, like being able to put it out there and then seeing what people are having trouble with, and then immediately respond to that. I don't know if you were like watching closely with our release schedule, but like right after the game came out, we were responding with patches super fast because people are identifying things. We have we're actually a pretty small studio, so our QA team is not that big, and so inevitably some stuff would need some work. And again, back in the day, you throw it on a disc and then that was it. So like just the fact that we can update things, number one, is amazing.
Right.
But then number two, that we can find the problems and update them fast is also amazing. So it's really a different world we live in.
How many people do you have working over there? You said it's a small team still.
It's on the project. Oh, I'm probably going to get the number wrong, but it's not an order of magnitude off. I would say that we got up to around 60 at a peak. That's not including like outside contractors. I just mean people in house.
Yeah.
I think the studio now is around 40ish, maybe 50. It fluctuates.
So you kept a bunch of people on so that you can gear up for that multiplayer update, right?
People in the chat are already asking about it.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to speak to any of that. So just
I heard there was some stuff that we're not supposed to ask you about, but Brian didn't tell me what things we're not supposed to ask you about before the show. So I may actually ask you some things I'm not supposed to.
That's not true. If anybody important is listening, I informed these guys about everything.
Where is it? Is there an email here that I missed?
Don't worry.
The handlers are in the chat.
If
The handlers are in the chat. Get out
there's
of here.
if there's one thing, listen, if there's one thing I've learned about Without Parole, no one important is ever watching. That's the good thing.
You didn't send me any details at all. Wow, there's a lot of stuff on this.
Okay,
Wow.
so Gamer Chick says 48. So for those that don't know, Gamer Chick is from the studio. That's Tiffany from the studio. And so that's the exact number right now. We have 48.
Excellent. Yeah, she's who I bug on Discord when I have a problem with something. Or, I'm like, hey, this multiplier didn't work in the meat grinder update, Tiffany. You need to fix this. She's like, okay, I'm on it.
She's been all over it. It's been great. Yeah, and I should tell you guys, I'm sure it works like this at all other companies, but for us, for sure, we look at all that feedback, and that actually goes in our database. So that's part of what GamerChick does for us. Is she looks at all the feedback and it gets logged in a database, so that we can't ignore it. We have to, if it's something that we don't address right away, it's something that it's a conscious choice of ours. Because we want to take all of that like super seriously. So
that's actually one of the things that I constantly praise about the game, and it shows. It's something that we definitely noticed here. First of all, we're used to we've been covering PSVR since basically the beginning, so we're used to like 3-4 person dev teams. So when you say 60,
one person,
we're like, okay,
for VR, that's pretty big, actually.
Yeah,
That's
for
pretty
VR,
big
like
team.
60 is a sizable team for what we've actually dealt with. But
I mean, I think even Iron Man probably was only about 60 people if we're guessing, if we're ballparking here.
Wait,
I
let's
think
put
everyone
things
is
in
not a
perspective.
huge studio.
Let's put things in perspective. How many people were on the Mercenaries team?
I think, man, that was so long ago, but I would say that peaked at around 40.
Okay,
Yeah, the original Mercenaries was around 40 people.
that was probably a decent size for the PS2 era, right?
For the PS2 era, yeah, that was, I think, can't quote me on this, but like that was like a $10 million game.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
Yeah,
So you guys
And,
just split the 10 million between 30 or 40 of you, and y'all just took big.
oh
paychecks.
yeah, that's definitely what it was.
You just worked overtime
Yeah,
and,
just
and just
perfect.
put in the extra hours. It showed. I mean, it was a very cinematic, like action-packed kind of game.
Oh,
You know,
man.
it was like super hardcore, just like, you know, getting into your helicopters and stuff like that.
That
And
was, and I always say that you can tell when the development team is having fun making the game. Oh, who's that guy?
Oh, this is True Guy. This is who we use for tips.
Did
We
you-
had 2 tips that came in. I'm sorry.
You can cut us off. Don't cut Mark off, man.
I'm
Yeah,
not trying to
don't
cut him
cut him
off.
off.
We don't
This
abuse Mark like
This
we
is
abuse
here
each
to-
other.
This is here
No,
to
totally.
silently indicate that whenever we're ready, there
it's
is
very
a tip.
imposing.
It
I don't
is.
think you realize.
No.
I don't think you realize how imposing
Well,
Tree Guy is when you do that.
Well, hold on. It's
Well,
just to
listen,
indicate that there is
listen.
the tip whenever
Listen.
Mark's done talking.
We've already killed the conversation. Let's take care of these tips while we're
Okay, let's go.
while we've done it.
Now, these are actually questions for Mark to some degree.
Yeah,
Oh, there we go. I like
Guy
this.
just keeps going on and on. First one is not really a question, just sort of a demand, Mark, but you can make this happen, I know. Lipnox with the $5 says, I want more weapons, maybe a dog DLC. I don't know what that means.
A puppy?
Are you the dog?
Can we get
Do
a
you
puppy?
get a dog? Can you pet the dog? That's my
Gamer
question.
Chick, can you add that to our database?
Is it
Yeah,
a good
put that in
dog
there.
or a bad dog, Lipnox? A good dog
Both.
or a bad dog?
And then
Cool.
our second one is $10 from Donatello the Scientist Game Cat. And he says, first off, Saints and Sinners is fantastic. Question for Mark.
Thanks.
What feature hurt the most to cut from the game?
Ooh, I like that.
Hurt the most to cut from the game?
Yeah, great question.
Man.
Way to dig that. Way to reopen that
Wow.
wound.
Is it
Donatello.
multiplayer?
Well, I'll say, can I speak to it this way? I will say that. So this was a long development. Actually, we had a really long pre-production,
Mhm.
and so the final product was quite a bit different than what we actually started out making. It was originally much more of a walking simulator in a sense, or we were really inspired by some of the big walking simulators of the day. And I think you can sort of actually, if you go back after hearing that and play it, you probably can get a sense for that. You probably see it. And you know, we dropped sort of that, so much focus on that and pulled on a lot of things, but there were a lot of good things that were sort of coming out of that direction of it. So I guess I would say that, you know, it's all opportunity cost. We made a great game, but there was another great game that we were making too that, you know, just ended up being not the thing that we chose to do. Maybe another time. But so yeah, there was that. And there was a, oh gosh, I hate to do this to you guys, and it's gonna be terrible, but there was a scene that we had in there, which I don't want to tell you guys because we might still use it. We might
Okay.
still use it for future
Wait.
things.
Okay.
You might still use it for future Walking Dead things? Is what you're saying? Like a DLC?
Well, they've said that they're not done with
Okay.
the game yet. They
Yeah,
released
well, I'm
the
just
meat grinder
I'm
recently.
trying
and
to tease out little strands of this. Is this the walk grinder update? We're going to get a walking simulator added in?
No. It was just sort of a high point, a climax of the experience.
Mhm.
That internally, like, you know, we spent a lot of time. We had a really luxurious pre-production, and we did a lot of things, experimented with a lot of things. But if there was like one thing you could point to that really sort of greenlit, so to speak, the project for all, you know, our executives, ourselves, you know, really got us all jazzed about what we were making, it was this one scene. It was a very sort of
And you
curative.
can't tell us anything about it.
well, I don't want to spoil it, man. If it happens,
Yeah.
I know you don't mind spoilers, but we do.
Tell
Yeah,
us
yeah.
tell us something so that when we see it, we'll know we saw it, but nothing more.
He's gonna
Like
tug on
when
his
we
ear.
see it, it'll click, and we'll be like, "Oh, that's what Mark was talking about." Okay, I got it.
I'll say that it involves a lot of screaming.
Lots of screaming. All right.
Lots of screaming.
As soon as you hear lots of screaming in the next Walking Dead DLC, you'll know what Mark was talking about.
And we had a, you know, it's funny because when we were like doing the prototype, we had the creative director. We do all this temp VO, right? Just sort of voiceovers to just, you know, flash out before we do the professional recording. And so we had the creative director in our internal recording studio recording the screaming for us. And he actually did like a really bang up job. So much so that the people downstairs, we have a, you know, we had a shared office space, and there's other companies that are on the floor below us. They were complaining. They were like, "Why is someone getting murdered upstairs? Can you guys like do a little bit less murder, please?" So
That's amazing.
yeah. So
Yeah,
I hate to put that out there, but you know, that was the thing that he asked. That was the thing that I wish we could have kept.
Well, now I assume since you guys are doing some work from home stuff, people are just annoying their neighbors with the screaming, not the whole office below, you know?
Yep. Yep. So yeah, uh, that's all I can think of. There's other things too. There's so much stuff. Well, here's another thing I'll say is I'm surprised how much made it. It's kind of the opposite thing. Like the amount of things that made it in the game is blows my mind sometimes. And I say that because you'd be surprised how many of the features came in I would say like the last 3 months of the project. We're an independent studio, and that's a double-sided coin. And one of the sort of the downsides of that is that it's sometimes tough to get external pressure on the quality of the game. So you're all in the game, you love what you're making, you have a certain perspective, but it's very inside, and it's hard if you have a situation where there's a publisher. The publisher is the one that says, "Look, this needs work, or you should add this, or it'd be better if this was there." But we didn't really have that, not in the traditional sense, at least. And so we hired an outside crew to actually look at our game, play it professionally, and professionally give us some feedback on this. And they came back, and this is like, I forget exactly how close to release, but it was close enough to be stressful. They came back and said, "Look, you need to be, this is good, but to be very good, if your goal is to be very good, add X, Y, Z, A, W, L, M, and O." It was like a ton of stuff. And so we reviewed that, and it was just like, well, what are we going to do about this? Certainly we can't add all of this stuff, but let's think about it. And I remember being in the meeting, and it was especially stressful for me because a lot of what's on my shoulders is to make sure that we keep things reasonable and schedule-wise.
Yeah.
We came out of the meeting somehow agreeing to do all of it, I think. Like everything they said, we did. And I was just like, oh God, okay. But in retrospect, it worked out. We got it all in there, and super happy with the final result.
Well,
You
I
certainly
also
did.
Oh, go ahead.
Because that when you said just a moment ago, you were like, this was originally kind of like a walking simulator, and now that you've mentioned that, if you go back and play it, you can see that. And I'm like, no, I don't see that one bit because.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, not at all. Because one of the things that, we've played a lot of walking sims on PSVR. We get that teams are smaller and stuff. But, one of the reasons I praise this game so much is the features, like you said. And I'm curious to eventually find out like what features you're speaking of specifically. But yeah, I praise like, the interactive like stuff you can do, everything from throwing the bottles or like, the there's just the mechanics of the game are so deep that somebody who's like just a born and bred gamer like myself can really appreciate. And you just added that voice immersion feature to the PSVR, and I don't know if you guys realize, but that was like huge. Like the community,
really?
Watching the community react to that was insane. Everyone's like, okay, now this is like next level, and I totally agree. It just does so many things way better than a lot of other games we've seen.
I thank you for that, and I'll say that an interesting thing about our studio is because we're small and because we're not like this big corporate entity, we can turn on a dime. We can make fast decisions. We can just decide that we're gonna like do a thing and do a thing. We have multiple endeavors going on at a time, and so that, for example, that voice thing, that was sort of started on a different project. So the other things we're experimenting with, that was coming out as really cool. And we're like, hey, that thing you guys are doing over there, could we have that too? And so that got folded in. Even all that, a good chunk of the combat stuff you're talking about, the interactivity, that was in another code base. And that got folded into the Walking Dead code base as well. Because, we were just like, man, the stuff that the people, the talented crews that we have here, we need this stuff. We want this stuff. This game would be so cool with the really intricate physics interaction. So I guess I'm just observing that it's sort of the nature of this small crew, fast, agile development team. So to use an abused word in the industry.
No, I'm in QA, so I know agile development.
Okay.
Tired of
it. To abuse it, but it's very true where we're at, and I think The Walking Dead really benefited from that.
Mark, sorry, I don't know if you.
Brian, I'm so sorry. I need to shoehorn this in. I've been waiting for a minute, and it's going to get irrelevant soon. But you were talking about this roving crew of people who just play games professionally, and they tell you if your game needs something. If anyone out there is a developer, just know that we play games a lot and we have opinions. We're available anytime you want to pay us money. We'll come
Come
through.
on, man.
All right, Brian, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's a good gig if you can get it.
That's what I'm saying.
You know, so
Somebody's
you work in QA. Do you work in game QA?
No, not in Game QA. I've heard it's a
okay.
hellscape. Game QA is supposedly the worst place in the world. It's like the gulag, right? Yeah.
It can be rough. Those guys are heroes.
Yeah.
But I was going to say there's this running joke in the game industry, which is like everyone who's outside of the game industry and they ask you, you tell them you work in the game industry, and they're like, oh, you play games for a living?
Nope.
It's so not that. It's so not that. Except for those guys who review your game, they play your games for a living.
See, that's not true either.
No?
Because I reviewed your game, and
for a living.
my work weeks are like 60 to 80 hours, and I'll guarantee you I only play games for about 15 of those.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's a good point.
It's pretty unfair. I don't know where this gig came from, but I didn't agree to this at all.
Now, not to interrupt you again, Brian, but we have 3 tips that have filtered in since our last.
Let's take care of the tips, Dave.
Take care of the tips. I never want you to speak on this show. Okay, we've got Bell Ramio once again with 5 says, I still want a wearable panda backpack, by the way. Good call on his part. And more cosmetics. It's zombie apocalypse, but when the looting starts, you can also loot fashion shops. Now, this makes sense coming from Bell Ramio because I know he's got a big sneaker collection. And every time we see him, he's wearing a different fancy jacket or something.
He probably wants like a light up hat or something. Some light up sunglasses that like flash.
So this is a very loaded question, this next one, and don't feel obligated to answer it in any specific way, Mark. But that's all he says this time. David Moore with $4.99 says, do y'all feel a bit of competition with the new Walking Dead game that's coming out, i.e. sales, reviews, fan reception? So if
Certainly.
you want to talk about that, you can. Yeah.
I mean, talk a little bit to it. Yeah. I mean, certainly. Are you guys familiar with the term? I don't know if this is a general term, but there's this idea of co-opetition.
Co-opetition. No, I've never heard of it.
A lot of games have that. I don't know where that term even comes from. I think I want to say it comes from NASCAR, right? Because sometimes you'll have like NASCAR crews that like they work for the same owner, but they both want to win. And so like they'll do a thing where like they'll draft each other to help each other get to the top. But then like when it's at the front, it's like, okay, I still want to win this.
Oh yeah, I've been playing Fall Guys with a team lately, and that's essentially what happens in Fall Guys. You get there together, but at the end, it's like, sorry guys, I've got to win.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Ultimately, you want to win. No, but of course they're competition, but it's a very friendly thing between us. With Survios they're a tremendous studio. Like we love those guys. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of goodwill between us. Actually, I don't have a photo with me, but when we launched the game, they sent us a cake, which was really nice. That was a surprise to us. Like congrats on the launch of The Walking Dead. It had like a walker painted on it. It was so cool. And so, huge thanks to them. And we want nothing but for them to succeed hugely. Even if aside from the goodwill, there's a very practical side to it. VR, as you guys know, is a small industry. This thing that this phrase gets said a lot in our industry, which is that the rising tide lifts all boats. We want the more successful that other games are, the more successful we are. Nobody buys a headset and then one game. So
unless it's Beat Saber, I know people who buy stuff just for Beat Saber, but
I do love that attitude. That's a great attitude to have.
Oh, it's very true. So like you see, like we were stoked when Half-Life Alyx came out. We're like, oh, this is huge for us. This is huge for everybody, right? Let's get VR to be as big as possible. There's definitely enough pie to go around. And so, yeah, I mean, seeing them and the newest stuff too. We haven't even talked about that yet. They're doing incredible work, and it makes me happy. And we're all happy to see that.
Just a couple more tips. I'm sorry. That's from Professor Lilith with $4, who says, please build your hand and holster controls in Dreams. I think what she's saying is that she likes the mechanics of the hand and the holster, the way that all works in Walking Dead Sinners, and the way that Dreams works. I don't know if you're familiar with the creation tools and stuff, but AJ's been playing a lot lately. And if you create a mechanic, you can make it remixable, and other people can use that in their creations. So I think she's saying that she wants somebody to make what you guys have made mechanically in Dreams, so it can be used as part of other people's creations.
Oh, okay. Man, I'm out of the loop on Dreams.
Oh, you got to check it out. It's very, very cool stuff. And then we've got $10 from Hugh Guyver. Say hello to your cousin Mac for us. Congratulations, Mark and crew. Saints and Sinners is an awesome game. Make sure Brian sends you a slice of his pizza. I don't know how well it holds up in the mail, but maybe if he froze it.
We'll certainly find out.
Yeah.
And we're not going to freeze it. It's just
going to get a rotting slice of pizza in California.
That's totally the case. Mark, I feel like we're starting at the end and working our way backwards. But can you tell people what a project director does? Like, for anyone not familiar with game design or the game industry, I'm like, it's probably different for every team.
Yeah. But... So it's funny. So in the game industry, there's unlike film and stuff, there's no standardized titles for things, which I could get into, but I think there's good reasons for that. But what that means is that from studio to studio, a title can be different. Like what you actually do, having a title could mean that you have a different job than somebody else with the same title in another studio. I'll just say that for me, it's kind of a combination of creative leadership and production leadership. I would say that day to day, it's like an 80-20. So I have a lot of input and say on the creative side of things, but it's very high level. And then the majority of my job is sort of seeing, curating and guiding the execution of the vision. So, for example, there is a creative director who works with me. There's a senior producer who in a lot of other companies do what I just said about sort of driving, but they work with me, and I sort of like package all that together in one. I wish I had like a simple way of explaining it, but that's generally it. I would say that on the production, so those familiar with like sort of more in the industry type things, it's really kind of sort of like a combination of creative direction and production. And I would say that like 80% of what I do is production, and then maybe the other 20% is creative production with a crew of other people. And then that gets into the deeper question, which is also hard to answer, is like, what does a producer do? And I'll just say the way I finally found to sort of describe that succinctly is that producer is a person, it's a coordinator. It's a person who coordinates things. And sometimes you'll hear, this is my mini rant about production. Sometimes you hear about studios who say they don't have producers. What they mean is they don't have people with the title producer, but certainly people are coordinating things. If production is coordination, you can't make a good game without coordinating. So somebody's doing the production, even if they don't have the title producer.
Gotcha.
So what's the point of a studio saying we don't have producers? What does that mean? Like, what's the significance of saying, like, why would they go out of their way to spread that?
Because production. Wow, this is getting a deep. This is cool.
I'm just curious because there's a thread to pull on here, and I'm curious.
Yeah, for sure. If I throw out my theory, I think it's because production is a little bit of a maligned sort of discipline, and it's a little bit maligned because it's not super well defined, or historically hasn't been super well defined of what it is. What does a producer do? A lot of people who end up being producers fall into it because there hasn't been sort of like a growth track into that role, and so you often end up with people who aren't trained enough to do the work, and so you end up with a lot of negative opinions in that position. So yeah, I think so. So I think some studios are like, well, it's a good thing to say that we don't have producers because people don't like producers.
They're throwing off the shackles of uninformed management who doesn't know what they're doing, and that sort of thing.
Exactly. So I think that's why they say that. I'm not at those studios, so I can't say exactly what goes on there, what that means. Maybe it is no producers. I suspect what it is you have the leads doing the production work, which is pretty common anyway. So it's not terrible. But I was just pointing out the misnomer that, they have someone doing production.
Tiffany says, Mark is the taskmaster. If the boat tips, all fingers point to him. So you're just basically the fall guy. Like, you just take the blame for everything, basically.
To a degree. I don't want to, like, yeah, perhaps.
Yeah. By the transitive property here, any dislikes on this video are going straight to you. We're going to let you know that it was your fault.
Okay.
You're in charge of this stream now, too. Sorry.
Let's take a second and tackle these tips, because I do want to ask Mark the second question here.
Do you want to take these? I've been taking the rest.
Sure. First one comes from Joe Grover, the effing Game Cat, with a $30 donation, keeping me alive, man. I appreciate it. He says, "Oh man, my window's so screwed up here. Give me a second." Everything's broken.
He says I have co-opetition with my wife for who's doing dishes, who's doing laundry, etc. Back in my hole.
Nice.
to the hole.
Back to your hole you go. That's great.
All right, and one more.
Here you actually have this one. This is from, man, I thought I had it. Snacks, please.
Snacks Impulse.
Snacks-
Got an impulse for snacks.
Impulse. $5 donation saying, I'm going to direct this at you, Mark. I'm assuming this is toward you. What other VR game has you excited the most? And what flat game would you like to see in VR? Thanks, y'all. All y'all. Ooh, really from the South. All y'all. I like it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man.
That's how my mom talks.
Gosh, what's coming up? Well, is it unfair to say something that already came out? Because I haven't yet played Iron Man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that looks super cool to me. So I totally want to get my hands on it. I just haven't had the time to do it.
Once you do, you're going to be like, hey, for the next DLC, next patch, Saints and Sinners, we need to add jetpacks.
And smart missiles.
Jetpacks and
Okay.
stuff.
Jetpacks,
Oh, okay.
right?
It looks so cool. So that's me personally. That's the one that I've been itching to get my hands on, but I haven't done it yet. What was the other question you had?
It was like what flat game, non-VR game would you like to see in VR if possible?
Gosh, that's a really good question.
People ask us this all the time, and it's
we
very
get this,
hard to
we
answer.
get this about
Very
5 times a day.
Right.
Do you?
To answer.
I can share a list of games that are great answers.
Yeah. I mean, House of the Dead, you could say.
Ooh, BioShock. Always
Crisis,
BioShock.
Everyone loves BioShock.
Oh man,
Red Dead Redemption, Grand Theft Auto. I don't know. A bunch of them.
I hear
Yeah,
Mercenaries
but
would be great in VR.
Yeah,
Mercenaries.
would be great.
Let's do Mercenaries.
Anyways, I'd play it. Also, Alvo's in the house. What's up, Alvo? They got a first-person shooter coming out that we're going to be showing some gameplay later, and they say taking lessons from Mark. It's a good person to take lessons from, Alvo.
And they have a beta coming soon, I think, that we can play. I heard something about a beta.
Yes, we will definitely reveal that later. We do have one more tip. Let's knock this one out real
We
quick.
do indeed.
All right, good
From
idea.
Wolf Craze.
That is Wolf Craze with the $10 donation. Thank you so much, man. Says, cannot think of anything to ask, but love the show and love the game.
Oh, thanks, Wolf Grace.
Yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
yeah, thank you from our side too. Lots of thank yous. This is great. Ooh, Doom 3, Alien Isolation, The Long Dark, all sorts of great
Yes.
options here. Pilot
Yeah,
Wings
great.
VR,
Dead Space.
Always VR. There you go.
Crash Team Racing. This is viewer takeover all over again. But come on,
You're
Crash
the only
Team Racing.
You're the
You
only
know,
person who's
I
begging
do wish
for
there were
Crash.
more like long RPGs.
Yes,
Long
There's-
RPGs. Yeah,
perfect. Yes,
There's basically none except for Skyrim, which
exactly.
almost doesn't. I mean, it counts, but
it
it's
definitely counts.
one of the least VR games that I've played. I think.
But you know, it's out there, and I put a ton of hours into it. Just
For
because
sure.
it's a thing, and you know, at least the sense of presence is still there. Like the sense of like I'm in this space
Absolutely.
is really good.
Yeah.
But like, man, if it was like a long form VR thing, like what really made me crave that was some of the early VR games that were like back on the Rift, and like sort of like there was like I forget what it was called. There was one I wish I remember the names of these games. Well, one that I remember was I was playing the Vive. Did you guys play the Vive, the Valve test gym type thing they had?
No, I haven't tried that.
It was just this was early on, and it was a thing that sort of just made me fall. It was one of the many things that made me fall in love with VR and the idea of it. And they had this like sort of like fantasy shop, right? So you go in, and I forget what you had to do in the shop, but you'd go in the shop, and there was a store merchant who is your size in front of you, and that was like the first time I was like, dude, I can play a VR game and have all the people be my size in it. Like it's such a different thing than like going to a menu and doing all that stuff. So if I could get a game that really embraced the VRness, a full RPG, that would be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to have seen. This was earlier in the life cycle, but like the way that No Man's Sky revitalized the entire interface, the way that you interact with things in the UI, and just like getting into your ship, you point at it and you lift the thing up and you pull the window up to get out. They basically made it VR retroactively in a way that felt like it was designed for VR to begin with. And
I love that.
Skyrim, I think, sort of just ported it in a way where it's like they didn't go back and do that extra effort to make it like, okay, the combat mechanics are different in VR. Like guys block and parry, and you really just waggle your
Yeah,
sword around.
yeah.
So
Well,
I'd
here's
love
the
to see more stuff like that, where a game that is a full game gets the sort of treatment that No
right.
Man's Sky got, which was incredible on their end.
Credit where credit's due, though, is they really solved the sort of free movement scheme on the move controllers.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh yeah, they did
yeah.
absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
we looked at that game. We're like, oh, this is it. This is what we should do in The Walking Dead. So
I wish more developers had seen that and taken that from it, because like it seems like a lot of people develop in a vacuum, honestly, and they'll say, "Oh, I haven't seen that game you're talking about. I'll check it out sometime." But if you guys were already down with the Skyrim locomotion system before you started making the game, so that's a good start. Yeah.
Lucky Sangara says, "Can you make a Saints and Sinners RPG sequel for PS5 VR?"
Hey, there we go. Yakuza is an RPG now. You could do it.
we'll add that to the list.
So you said you used whatchamacallit, like you did play Skyrim. Obviously, you guys have done a lot of things that I think hadn't been done before. Like I said, there's a lot of those little tiny details that I never really saw in another game. What other games do you know, like any other games you guys kind of play tested or got maybe some ideas from?
Oh man, it's all over the place. Like all of us sort of, it's scattershot. We all play all sorts of different games. We took inspiration from Boneworks, of course, but it's sort of a lot of what we contributed was sort of a robust aspect to the physics gameplay, and that was a little bit in the air, I would say, and it really, I guess we're the latest and sort of the most cutting edge expression of that. But some of these ideas of like doing physics better in games were sort of bubbling up. And so really, we played we watched a lot of demos, we played a lot of demos ourselves, and that really inspired what we ended up creating in the game.
And I think it's important to focus on the physics here too, because like one of the things that I've loved to see so much after this game came out is people playing with the physics and posting videos of this stuff. Like, I don't know if you've seen this. There's a guy who puts the Fourth and Pain, the little thing, on the tip of his gun and shoots it up in the air, and then it comes flying down and lands in a walker's head and kills him. And it's impeccable. It's incredible because the physics are a sandbox that you can play around with to a certain degree. And you guys really nailed it. And I think the fact that people are going to such lengths to fool around with what they can do with the physics really shows that you guys nailed that part of it.
Well, thanks for that. And you know what tells me that we did a good job too is that we still discover things that you can do in the game that we didn't know about. Like you can throw knives and I forget the name of the katana. You can throw them in certain surfaces if they're soft. Yeah, if they're soft, they'll like stick it in the surfaces. Or like you can skewer a walker's head and have like a walker's head on your sword. And so like these are things that like we'll sometimes accidentally discover as we're playing, or we'll see users out there doing, and we're like, oh, you can do that.
I've definitely taken out a walker and been like trying to run away from a horde and being like, oh, well, like my stamina's full. What's going on? And I look back down and I'm dragging a walker like with a knife stuck in its head or something, like just across the ground, and like shaking it off, like get off.
Yeah. Can I ask you guys a question?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So I just want to get a sense for if you guys see the delta, the difference between where we are in the VR space now versus where we were like 2 years ago or maybe 3 years ago.
Well, it's interesting with PSVR because I feel like we've had games that are at a top level of quality since the system launched. I mean, there's been games that we still put in our top 10 that came out within the first year of PSVR, which was 4 years ago at this point almost.
Right.
But as a market, I think nobody owned the headsets at that point, and now we've sold so many more that these things can have an impact. Like, you put out a game like this, it can make a splash. Whereas if it came out day one, there would have been 500,000 people tops who owned the platform that you could put it on, and now it's in like above 5 million, which isn't huge, but it's the biggest out of any market so far. And I think in that way we've come a long way. Whereas like PlayStation VR just makes it easy to dive into VR. It's comfortable. You might already have the Move controllers. You might already have a camera from your PS3,
Right.
and that stuff just works.
Yeah.
So I think they've made it very accessible. And like, I got a refurbished headset for $150 from GameStop,
Oh,
and
nice.
that's people talk about how expensive VR is, but if you got a PS4, like, we're in a very prime position right now to get people in the door. I
Right.
think. So
Yeah.
as far as
Nice.
that goes, I mean, we are starting to see more stuff like Alex and those full-on games too. But Brian, what were
Yeah.
you mentioning? Go ahead.
I think the big difference now versus 2016, when PSVR launched, is really on the indie side of things. You see things from a 1 or 2 or 3, 4 person dev team, and they're way more impressive now than they were in 2016. Like Separation, I don't know if you had a chance to check that out, from Recluse Industries, made by one dude, Martin Wheeler, and it's like one of my favorite games on PlayStation VR. It's like just like
Oh,
this
nice.
big open world and like pretty simple puzzle solving, but it's the whole experience taking it in, made by one guy, and it was just
Right.
and it's that kind of stuff. Like there was some earlier stuff on again 2016, 2017, made by 1 or 2 people. I was like, oh, okay, you can kind of tell this was made by 1 or 2 people. It's like, oh, cool,
Right.
look, we got a new VR game. I'm so excited, but it's all right.
Right.
Because I think the AAA side of things has been pretty much the exact same since day one.
Yeah.
We were so fortunate to get Resident Evil 7. One
That
of
was
my
early. Yeah.
favorite games of all time. That was what, early 2017, January, I think.
Yeah.
It's insane. And then here we are, like 3.5 years later, going, oh sweet, Electronic Arts is finally delivering, like a sort of a AAA VR game, and it's not even like
Right.
a big AAA game. It's like a single A EA game. So we kind of get those speckled in, and that's kind of the best we're getting from AAA. So I think the difference is all on the indie side.
I mean, I do
Mhm.
think Hitman 3 is a big deal. I think Hitman
Sure.
changes things a little bit because
We're
that's
starting.
that's
It's not
a
just
big
Hitman. It's
series.
AAA. It's AAA devs in general, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and one of the things that I watched this wonderful right before Saints and Sinners came out. I watched this wonderful interview with Peter Aikman, who was on VentureBeat, and
I thought
everything
you were
he
going to explain to Mark who Peter Aikman was.
Wait,
Yeah.
who is Peter? I don't know who Peter is. Can
He's my boss.
you fill me in? That's your boss. Okay, that's your boss.
He's
No,
one,
but-
he's one of the founders of the studio.
yeah, he just was saying everything that I wanted to hear about, talking about, and this is how I knew your team was kind of one step ahead of the game. Was he was saying, like, there's no standardization yet, right? Like, to me, it's not beginning anymore for VR, but it's like it's just now starting to leave that phase of like, oh, it's so infant, it's like in its infant's phase.
Oh, totally.
It's just starting to leave that. More AAA developers are starting to invest. But there's occasionally some stuff that's still not like standardized yet. So I still think there's some hurdles to get over. Obviously, there's like power consumption with the hardware and stuff, the tracking that we deal with PS4. So
Right. Right.
there's still a few things, but I really think this leap from, let's say, hypothetically PSVR 2 and PS5 is going to be a huge step. I think once we get that, we're going to be set for like the next 10 years with something that everyone can just kind of pick up and play and enjoy, like a AAA experience.
Right. Yeah. I mean, to that point that you were sort of, paraphrasing from Peter, that's part of what makes making VR games really exciting for us, right? Up until this point, because
Playing
I mean,
them as
you're-
well.
playing them is nice.
Yeah.
But I mean, you guys are have been around long enough to remember what it was like when consoles generally made the leap from 2D to 3D.
Yes.
And like, if you go back and you play some of those first gen 3D games, that was sort of the development community in the world figuring out the rules, like what works best. Figuring out the best techniques for movement and controls and camera controls, and all sorts of things like that. And then later on, that sort of language of game development had gotten established, and now a lot of games rely on the same sort of things that were established way back, even in the PS1 era. And VR for the last few years has been like that for us. Really, it's like sort of we're on the frontier, we're at the cutting edge, we're part of the people that are defining what the standard is in VR gaming years from now. So
well,
it's really
you certainly have with this one. Honestly, I
Yeah.
think as far as like game design language goes, that's something we talk a lot about here, like a shared language between developers in terms
Right.
of what works, what doesn't work, exactly what you're talking about. And I think we are still a little bit away from that. Like you said, we're still a few years out. And flat gaming took the same amount of time to get there as well. People look at VR as if it's like a failed project because there aren't perfectly optimized, AAA. And it's like, give it some time, man. It'll get there. But I think you guys have done a great job in terms of, if someone's going to establish what the language is, you guys have done a very good job of kind of laying down the gauntlet.
Gosh, thank you for that.
And I think, like you said, Skyrim before, you sort of, you build on the shoulders of giants. And
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. No, I'm honored to, have a title that, well, I mean, we'll see what the future holds, but I feel like there's a good chance of sort of like being on the timeline. When people go back and they talk about the history of VR, which is, a fixed thing. It's just the timeline that we're in, right? People, 10 years from now, we're talking about VR. They're going to be talking about some of these innovative titles early on. My hope and my feeling is we deserve to be part of that conversation.
Well, you do. I mean, we made a top 25 list, and it's number 1 on the top 25 list. So
great.
I think you're in the
great.
conversation at this point.
Yeah.
I think we've solidified that.
Listen, the check I got from Skydance was big enough to get a 10 out of 10 and number 1 spot. That's all I can say.
Hey, my understanding
all I got was a stupid jacket. No, I love the jacket, guys. I love the jacket.
AJ's got the poster.
Yes.
I've actually got a poster too.
I've been
going to frame it.
I can't read signatures very well.
My signature's on the handle at the top left.
Ah, there we go. He can spot it even over the webcam.
I put it in the same place on all the posters.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's vertically up on the side. Yeah.
What he's saying is you're not special.
Yeah. He's saying it's
everyone got a poster.
He wrote it once.
I fully understand. And yes, I did. But no, it's awesome. This game was really a breath of fresh air for me, man. We had kind of a little bit of a drought at the beginning of this year. The end of last year kind of puttered off, and then it was kind of a long stretch. So it was nice to not only get a good game, but one that just introduced all these new things. And like you said, you see all those NES games in the back you got there. Like I started with NES gaming as well. We were talking about that before the show, like Mega Man and Castlevania and all that stuff. And that this whole jump to VR has been kind of like that. But at that time there wasn't already like a PS3 when PS1 came out, right? Like there wasn't something to really compare to. It was that first thing. So it's a little bit different of approach that this is having. But I think it's a healthy thing to kind of for VR to kind of shape itself and grow slowly so that it goes in the right direction versus just like adding a billion features that people just end up not really caring about.
Real quick, I think we're a little behind on like 2 tips. I think one of them has gone so far into the ether that I can't see it anymore.
We've only got
one. I don't want that to happen. Okay, we just have one. Okay.
Yep. So $5 donation from David Moore saying, "What are the new challenges to your job in this climate of social distancing?"
It's challenging. We're all working from home, like everybody else is. Just thankful that we work in an industry that allows that makes that possible.
Yeah.
It sort of depends on your role, I think, and the type of work you do in this industry. It's such a varied. Part of what I love about making games is it involves so many people with so many different crafts, and some of those crafts, it actually I think is nice to be able to work from home and sort of isolate a little bit and sort of get out of the day-to-day noise. I would say that in my role specifically, as someone who has to coordinate a lot of people, coordinate a lot of ideas and workflows, it can be challenging, and in my opinion, it adds sort of a difficulty multiplier on what I do.
You're playing on lethal mode now instead of just
I mean, we give ourselves a lot of good challenges here, and then putting this on top just really increases the pressure. But knock on wood, we've been doing a good job hitting our marks. So,
Mark, do we have another one?
From the chat. Yeah, Donatello, the Silence Game Cat, Bingo Bango with the $5 says, "Why did Saints and Sinners get a blind release?"
That's an excellent question.
Sony or your team's choice, or was it Beyonce's choice? Really, at the end of the day, she created that whole thing. Anyways, where did that come from? He looks like he's stealing himself to answer this question.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
Are you allowed to?
Yeah, I can talk about it. I don't think it's there's a super clean like we decided or they decided. It was sort of this combination of all sorts of various factors. Uh, one of them is we knew that we wanted to launch in a specific window. This is all very like sort of analysis driven, but we look at what's coming out, and we know that if we come out at a certain time, that's probably best for the product. But that sort of, well, I use the word fought or fight, but it fights against the schedule, right? If they say this comes on this date, well, that really puts a stake in the ground and says, well, wherever you are in development, you got to be done now. And so naturally, we want to put as much love into the game as possible, and make it as good as possible. But that makes it hard to like make commitments. It makes it hard to be like, okay, we are definitely going to have this thing, because we don't know. We might have this thing, but because we're putting it in like the last month in some cases. And so I would say that putting it out there without sort of putting the public stake in the ground allowed us to be more flexible in what we included in the game, before we launched it. We'd be like, okay, people don't know what's coming out, so we haven't made any public commitments about anything. We can try this thing, and if it doesn't work, we can pull it out. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question. It is a little bit muddy actually how that exactly worked out. Maybe someone in the chat from the studio remembers the history a little bit better.
I mean, it sounds like it was beneficial on all sides, because really, like, you get to polish the product to the point you want it, and then you get the excitement of a surprise drop.
That was,
when LA Noire came out of nowhere on PSVR, everyone was just like, "What? There's a Rockstar game on PSVR? Like now? Okay." Yeah. And that's kind of the same deal. You get that upswell of excitement when people are surprised that something is there.
That's a huge component of it. So we saw that as an upside for sure. So that was one of the big reasons to do it, is just sort of like surprise. People knew the game was coming. Let's surprise everybody. But also like another factor, because there was a lot of factors, but another one was really, it can be tough to do the timing right. When you're working with other various parties, we're working with Sony. There's a lot of quality control things that they want us to do, and for the right reasons, and we want to do too. But that can create some turnaround. Launching simultaneously worldwide, that can create some sort of logistical challenges for us. And so guaranteeing that we're going to get all the logistical challenges spot on this sort of date that we publicly announced, that's really in a tight window, it seemed like that would be a little bit too hard. So to make our lives a little bit easier, it was nice to be able to just say, look, we'll just put it out there the day we think it's ready. So that makes sense.
Totally makes sense. And actually, it's funny, Mark. When I was getting ready for today, I was looking into your history and digging all the skeletons out of your closet. And don't worry, I brought a broom. It was rough. But I actually found an interview with you where you're talking about Archangel, and how you were saying that one of your favorite things about Archangel were actually the bad guys. I think it's sort of the atypical bad guys, not the guys with like curly.
With me?
Was that not it?
Some other guy.
Oh no!
I don't remember. I remember doing that.
This is actually very relevant to my next question that I just posted as a tip.
You tipped.
I didn't want to,
you tipped.
I tipped. I put a question as a tip because I didn't want to interrupt the flow of things by actually interrupting.
Well, then by all means, what? We actually have two tips, and let's do two tips.
We have a few more tips.
Yeah.
Who's that?
That is Alex the Met with $9.99 donation. Thank you so much. Saying, do you think that VR will become an industry juggernaut and compete with the big boys? Or will it always be a niche market, since the rest of this is like, I'm not even sure how to say this, since the buy-in is a lot in terms of money and actual physical space you need?
Gosh,
do you think...
very cerebral crew.
We try to keep it brainy in here as much as we can.
Yeah,
all the dumbasses get kicked out. we have mods that just ban stupid people. So keep an eye out, guys.
Not true. If that was true, I'd be banned 3 years ago.
Yeah, no, we all would.
So what do you think? Is VR going to take over, or at least like stand side to side with flat screen at some point?
I think it remains to be seen. I think VR clearly can give you an experience that you just can't have anywhere else. Like period. Like straight up.
Yeah.
And it takes a little bit for people to discover that. There's sort of a barrier to entry. One of the barriers to entry for well, now that there's other simpler platforms out there, but one of them was just you had to have a rig. The setup was complicated, so on and so
Right.
forth. I think if in some mythical future you had VR that was literally like a pair of glasses you just put on like this, I think that would just sort of like open the gates up completely. But that's a long way off. But I think some of those barriers to entry work against you. I think the way to sort of combat that, and it remains to be seen if it'll happen this way, it really comes down to like anything else, like any platform, it comes down to the games and the software. Like more big games, more killer apps, more unmissable titles, and then the people will come. People will try things out. They'll notice that, this is an experience that I just, no matter how good the game is on flat, I'm not going to feel that way when I play the game. The subjective experience is now different because it's in VR. When more people get the sense for that because more better software is coming out, I think that's how VR becomes, bigger and bigger.
Well, and I think we're in a good position for that too, because the two big players here are Sony, which has clearly displayed an interest in making exclusives a big focus. Right. Because there are so many games you can only play on a PlayStation that are top tier games that people want to play. Like, if I had an Xbox and I saw Ghost of Tsushima, I'd be like, please let me play that.
Right.
So at a certain point, you do get to that thing where it's like, and Facebook is on the other side, and they've got unlimited pools of money. Right. It's Facebook with Oculus in them. So like both sides are going to be throwing a lot of money and effort into making unmissable experiences. You hear about like a Medal of Honor game is being made in Oculus world. Yeah. And that's big. I mean, that's like a franchise that we haven't seen for decades that people love, and it's coming back. So I think there's going to be a lot of that gets people excited.
Oh, for sure.
There's one more tip. Oh, this is from me.
Oh, Dave, do you want to read it?
No, I want someone else to read it because it's from
Dave
me.
Station VR with the $5 donation says, Mark, why don't you add Archangel multiplayer support for PSVR? I know you can do it.
Here's the follow-up to that question.
Okay.
I heard originally that it was not done. It was scrapped, the idea, because there were no thumbsticks on the Move controllers. I don't know if this is true or not. That's what I've heard. But if that's the case, and you know about Skyrim moving, and you've done Saints and Sinners, you earlier talked about this concept of folding in things that you figured out how to do back into games that you're working on. So at this point in time, do you think it's not feasible still to do Archangel multiplayer? This is my main question.
Why would they do that right now?
No, I'm saying it doesn't make business sense to do it.
No, it makes zero sense to do it at all right now.
But the question is,
do you like burning money?
Now? Do you think it's feasible now? Do you think your team could pull it off, really, in like a dream world? That's what I'm asking.
And is it true? Was that really true? Did it not get added because there were no thumbsticks?
No, that's not the reason why.
Okay,
I knew it. I keep hearing this, and it's like fucking
that was
bullshit.
Not,
There's no way that's true.
We had to set the record straight on
this. I will, okay, so that's not the reason, but I will say that sort of trepidation in VR is a thing that's changed over the years for us. And back when I asked you guys about which you thought had changed over the years, one of the things that I think has changed a lot is, from the developer standpoint, is our willingness to take risks and be a little bit more ambitious with our designs. Like if you play, look at the world of difference between Archangel as a on rails wave shooter, which when we put that game out there, we thought that was the best you could do on PSVR. Then fast forward a few years, on the exact same hardware, we have Saints and Sinners.
Yeah,
it's like an enormous difference in sort of ambition and what we think we can do.
I don't want to downplay Archangel here because I love Archangel. It was too expensive when it came out. I'll tell you that a million times. $40 was too much. Yeah. 30, 20, 25, something like that would have been perfect. Because it's not an established IP. Nobody knew what it was. But the game itself, I loved the narrative. I loved the voice acting, the presentation. Like I could tell this was a very polished, kind of top-notch studio that made this game.
Oh man, thanks.
Even if you think it's kind of a lesser product or whatever, but like it's still good. And if you guys can get it on sale, check out Archangel. Like it's still good.
I'm super proud of it. Like I think for what it is, I mean, it's a little bit of a conservative design, but if you can enjoy that style of game, it's a really well done version of that style of game.
We love on-rails shooters here. Like the three of us, all the way top to bottom.
I definitely do.
House of the Dead, Time Crisis. We've said Time Crisis on this channel like 90,000 times. I guarantee you, if you tallied it up. So yeah, there's definitely a market for that, and like Blood and Truth kind of taps into the same thing where you're on rails with what's the
I'm
point.
surprised Blood and Truth
And
isn't higher up on your guys' list.
I mean, we love Blood and Truth,
I
but it's hard
usually-
with so many games, man. Like,
Listen, if
at
Immortal
this point-
Legacy wasn't so fucking good, Blood and Truth would totally have it.
Okay, we got
mean-
one more tip. Hold on.
That is Nudge Gray with the $10 donation. Thank you so much. Says, I didn't get sick playing Saints and Sinners. Did motion sickness have an impact on design choices?
This is why we didn't get jetpacks.
In Hellfire, if you, I know it's on not on PSVR, but if you
Yeah,
play
yeah,
Hellfire, there's jumping in that.
I think
You
With
can
this
jump with the
question,
mech.
too-
Interesting. Okay.
there's no teleportation in the game, so maybe if you could ask, touch on that too, that'd be cool.
Well, it's just that we had shipped 2 VR games. One that was more conservative, and then we did free motion in Hellfire. And I think over the course of those last 2 projects, we just became more confident in the various techniques that you use to like prevent sickness. And we knew more about them. We'd seen what other people had done. We'd employed those techniques ourselves. And so by the time we got to making Saints and Sinners, that was always a concern. It always is. We tested for it greatly. But it wasn't a thing that was like, okay, now you have to you can't do X, Y, or Z. You have to be a real shooter because people are going to get sick. That was the kind of constraints you had early in VR that in more ambitious later VR, you stop worrying about. You solve those problems or to the degree that you can, right? That the design language is there. You know how to solve that problem, and you can now think about other more interesting things. So, yeah. So I would say, we're always concerned about it. That was always at the top of our mind to make sure people were comfortable. But I wouldn't say that held us back in any way.
Go ahead.
Nice. Listen, Mark, I really want to keep you here all day because I want to go off the rails and I want to talk about the amazing
questions.
video game collection that you have behind you. But I also know that you probably don't want to be here for the full 3 hours. So maybe we can finish this up talking a little bit about. I know that you can't reveal anything specifically, but should we expect that the future of Skydance is focused on Saints and Sinners? We're looking at more DLC instead of a new game? Is that can we expect that? Is that an acceptable question to ask? Was that on the list of no-nos? I lost my list.
I don't have
a list.
I'm not sure how well I can answer that question. I can say that development is ongoing. We're working on the product still. We're still working. Saints and Sinners development is still happening, and we continue to work on it into the near and medium future for sure. So
as a follow-up question that is sort of a side angle to this question, you guys have, I've been to your website, you guys have a lot of IPs hanging around. I've seen Terminator, I've seen plenty of things that look very exciting to me.
Yep.
And so my question is generally, would you guys be focusing more in the future on something like an Archangel that's a unique IP, brand new thing, or are you guys going to leverage some of the stuff that you have sitting in your back pocket in terms of licensing and all that?
Well, let's just say that the nice thing about having a parent company that owns all those IPs, that's always
it's on the table.
Yeah, it's on the table. For sure.
Okay, well, good. That's all I needed to hear. That's really all I needed to hear.
I'll say too that you guys probably remember this too. There was a point in gaming history where making IP games. Well, first, all IP games that came out were garbage. And
of course.
Even in the industry, making an IP game was not seen as glamorous. It was seen as sort of like just getting the
grunt work. Yeah.
But those times behind us. Making an IP game now is like enormously fun. Doing it on The Walking Dead, we had really good partners with Skybound, and it's so nice for them to create an awesome universe and then allow us to like carve out our own piece of it. That's a really, really cool thing for them to do for us. And then having your game come out and people, because of the awareness of it, immediately care about what you're making.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice. We put out Archangel, and it's nice to make your own things. So there's that side of it, but it sort of is like, it just doesn't get the attention.
You have to convince people that it's worth looking
Yeah,
at.
exactly. Whereas, you put out a game like in the Walking Dead universe, and all of a sudden people are looking at what you're doing. And so that part is, so we see making IP games as a really, really great experience for us, and definitely potential for that in the future.
Okay, so I'm just going to throw a few out there. Mission Impossible, Terminator. Mission Impossible, Terminator. Just keep it in mind. Mission Impossible VR is a fucking no-brainer, I have to be honest. But, yeah.
I'll tell you, I would love it. Either of those I would love.
Okay.
Listen, Mark,
I'm excited to hear that.
Before we kick you off, I want to make sure that you don't have anything else that you want to get off your chest, anything else that you want to say. Be like, man, guys, I can't stand it when you without parole people do this. I just get all this shit off your chest, man. This is your stage. Do it while you can.
Air your grievances.
You guys have been really good friends to the studio. I really appreciate that. Thanks for all the kind words you guys say about the game.
It's all AJ. It's really just AJ.
Just from a personal level, when the first, I think it was the first video where you guys talked about the game at length. When you work on a game and you're so close to it and then you put it out there, it's hard to gain perspective on what you made. And that video helped me gain a lot of perspective and really appreciate what it was that we actually made. I remember hearing you guys, it was such a long video. And I remember...
That's kind of our bread and butter around here.
Yeah. And I remember even as it was getting towards the end of it, and it was a couple hours in, there were still features that you guys hadn't gotten to yet. And I was like...
Yeah. Remember that?
I could talk about it for 7 hours.
I can go on.
I can do a fucking charity live stream.
I can literally talk about just everything. Somebody had kind of posted a comment to me once, and I literally, like, usually when I get a comment that that's like a paragraph long, I'm like, I don't have time to read this. But because it was somebody that kind of wanted to debate about Saints and Sinners, I threw it right back in their face and just responded with my own paragraph. And like, I can literally talk about this game for days. Like it is crazy, man.
As AJ said, we are internet warriors on behalf of Saints and Sinners.
So they want me, the dev team wants me to show this gift that we got when we shipped the game. Do you guys have a second for that?
Yeah.
We have a million seconds.
Okay, let me just get up for a second. I'll be right back.
Did you say a gift or a GIF?
I thought you said a GIF. I thought it meant like an animated GIF. Yeah. I thought it was pronounced GIF.
Oh man,
we have a GIF we need to show.
You're not allowed to say GIF on this show, Brian.
No.
I know it's your show, but you can't say GIF on there.
Listen. I grew up. I'm fucking ancient. I grew up when we called it. It used to be called a GIF. No one called it a GIF like
peanut
more
butter,
than 10 years
GIF
ago.
is peanut butter. GIF is a GIF.
Listen,
GIF is
okay.
I don't care what the creator of the GIF is.
I don't care what he says either. I'm just telling you how it was when I was growing up.
Well, all right.
Hey, so last thing I wanted to say about that last topic was just that, when you finish a game, when we finish this game, you often think about like all the things that you couldn't do, you wanted to make better and all that stuff. And so again, thank you guys for giving us that perspective, being good friends and friends of the studio. That's really appreciated. You guys are great.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you guys for everything you're doing. I mean, keep it up. I can't wait to see what else comes next. And keep us in the loop.
It's absolutely a game by gamers, and it shows, and I love that.
Thanks, man. So this was when we finally shipped the game. It was like a 2-long development process, big team, a small amount of crunch time, but we kept it sane. But we worked hard. We worked really hard. This was our baby, and so as a thank you from the studio, for being a talented crew, for working so hard, they gave us this thing. I don't know if you can see this.
No my God. That's so cool.
It's just like the one in AJ's poster.
So this is exactly. So this is some fake movie blood. It's got the Skydance logo built in there.
Oh,
it's individualized. Is this the right way? So it's got the Skydance or the Saints and Sinners logo on it.
Wow.
It's got everyone got one with their name.
Wow. So that's etched into the wood.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then for every year you were at the studio, by the time that they made it, they would put a little notch in there.
That's really cool.
That is so cool.
This is like a real axe.
Awesome.
And we had people come out for the launch party that had to fly in, because they work. So we had to figure out how to fly back with this thing. Exactly.
That's amazing.
I mean, I feel like you wouldn't buy an axe for murdering that was branded with your own name, probably. So it's probably like, if I was a TSA agent, I'd be like, it's fine. It's promotional.
I literally keep this in my bedroom so that, if someone were to like enter my house,
Yeah.
I'd be like, man, this is not the first time I've done this.
Yeah, it's covered in blood already. They're like, wow, he didn't even clean it off after the last time. He just killed a guy and just kept using it.
That is too cool.
I have to ask you real quick. Those aren't Guitar Hero guitars. Those are real guitars back there.
No, those are real guitars. Yeah, this is my personal man cave. Got all my games back here.
This is my little thing over here. Let's have a shred off next time you come on the show.
I was just telling Tiffany recently, I love that cinematic trailer that you have. I actually asked Brian, I was like, please, can we use this trailer in the top 25? Because I absolutely love that trailer. And that axe is kind of that I see that axe reoccurring a whole bunch of times. And I love that. I love to see that. And it's in that trailer too. Where especially at the end where the walker gets capped in the head with it, and it's a cool like kind of like symbol of the game. I think it's pretty cool.
It really is. Yeah, no, we were all stoked. That was really everyone was like, this is the best shipping gift that we've ever gotten. So.
Yeah, nice. You're
and
getting
if
all
they want to
sorts of
send us
ideas.
katanas, we were 110% receive katanas if they have.
I don't know if I have space in here for a katana, but I'll definitely find somewhere to put it. I guess.
I'll take Dia's katana. It's okay.
No.
This is giving me ideas. However, so when Without Parole becomes like an actual full-fledged company and we have employees and people get paid and stuff, we're obviously going to have to make custom handcuffs and give them away to our employees. Like little hairs and stuff, like arm hairs sticking off of them to look like they've been used.
Knowing you, they're going to be fuzzy handcuffs.
Fuzzy, and there might actually be someone already in them.
Yeah.
It's like here's. This is going way off the rails.
A great way to send Mark off.
Yeah, Mark's like, what did I get myself into? Didn't know this was going to happen.
Just thank you so much for joining us, man. It was an absolute pleasure to meet you in person finally. And just thank you guys, the whole team over at Skydance. Thank you for allowing Mark to come spend some time with us and hang out and stuff. We are stoked about your games. Congratulations again for the #1 spot. And hopefully it remains there for a long time. So
thanks, man. I appreciate it.
It's just awesome. Yeah. Great time.
Thanks for having me. We should do this again sometime.
Yeah, I can't wait to have you back when Mission Impossible VR is #1 on our list. Get back here.
All right, we'll do it.
All right, so we're gonna switch over to our hold screen and send Mark on his way, and then come back and start the show.
Oh yeah, wait.
All right,
1 hour and 13 goddamn minutes.
That's right. Let's fade over. All right, Mark. Thank you so much, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Hey, yeah. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
We'll be in touch.
All right, sounds good.
Thanks, man.
Good luck with the show. See ya.
Bye. All right, now that we've kicked him off the show, we got rid of all the interesting people.
Get this loser out of here. Jeez, he's talking too much.
Okay, now I got to figure out how to get our normal setup back. Dave, can you put your camera back on by any chance? Just so I can get this
can
working
I go,
again.
Can I go Kurosawa mode now?
You can do whatever you want to, I promise you.
I'm going Kurosawa mode, baby.
Okay. So real quick, K-Panic, the Game Cat Dreamer, had a $3.99 donation. Said, will there be an Earth Angel VR for PS5? You got cold yogurt with the $5 donation. Said, awesome game, Saints and Sinners. It was a white-knuckled experience. Purchase the tourist editions on both platforms. What does he mean by both platforms?
Both platforms.
PC
both
and
of them.
PlayStation VR?
Yes.
Oh, duh. I forgot it was on PC as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, brain fart. Joe Grover, send Joe Grover over with the $10 donation. Says, choosy mothers choose GIF.
Hey, GIF. What? Wait.
Choosy mothers choose GIF.
Yeah.
People who are using the graphics interchange format or whatever the fuck it's called.
Well, then K-Panic, the Game Cat Dreamer, again with the $2 donation, says it's graphic interchange file, not graphic.
Okay,
I agree.
So the word that comes after
we're not having this debate
doesn't go into the acronym.
Listen,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. The only thing I was bringing up was when I was young, the internet didn't exist, and so we just called it whatever we called it.
17.
It didn't matter if there made any sense.
Doom on.
All right, hold on. We're actually back on the screen, so say hi to everybody. Hello, we're back here.
Hey, is my Kurosawa mode working?
It is indeed.
Can you see the thing that says Kurosawa mode?
We can see that as well, yes. Delirium
Drew is back with some tips, and he says, Mark, in behalf of all the Game Cats, Mark's gone, Drew. I'm sorry. Your $5 is wasted, unfortunately. Thank you so much. Amazing VR game, and will be for many years to come. 100%. I believe that because they said they're still working on new stuff. So,
yeah, and that there's so much again. Just like how he was saying, there's so much we didn't touch on with this game, right? I mean, just we barely talked about Meat Grinder and that update. You know, there's just so many different things I could go on and on.
Do you know why we didn't talk about it? Because we want Mark to still like us. Because, dude, I don't like either of you guys after a 3-hour show. There's no way Mark's gonna like any of us after a 3-hour show. So we had to get him out.
It's an hour 15, and I'm already tired of you guys.
Perfect. We're killing it.
I'm hungry as hell. I want you guys to shut up so I can eat pizza.
Perfect.
Well, we have a full GAMESCAST to go through.
This is PSVR GamesCast Live. We film live every. And they're out. Okay, well, you know what? It's time for.
Motherfucker.
Let's start the show the way we begin every show with a little game of should we or shouldn't we? When we put 60 seconds up on the clock up on the counter the way that Jeremy likes it. It's our time down here to tell you out there, the loyal game cats, whether you should or should not be playing and or watching the things that we've been playing and or watching and or doing. Who would like to go first?
I'll go first.
Excellent. On your mark, get Des. Go.
All right, this is a movie that I had not seen, but I just saw recently called Paths of Glory by a guy you might know called Stanley Kubrick. Everybody knows Stanley Kubrick, right? He made The Shining and all those other great movies. And it's a great movie. I've never cared about Kirk Douglas in my life as an actor. He's incredible in this film. Very, very good movie. It's pretty much the story of these guys. So it's a war movie, World War I. But it's about bureaucracy and how stupid bureaucracy is. So if you guys have seen Shin Godzilla, the Japanese one that came out from the guy who made Evangelion, it's very similar in structure because it's like shit's happening that's wild, but it focuses on middle management and like people who are in positions of power. And so it's a really interesting kind of study of that. And it's totally infuriating, but an incredible movie. Stanley Kubrick, black and white, just like me right now. Check it out. It's rentable. Paths of Glory.
So it's a should we? Excellent.
It's a should we? Absolutely. Yes. Good film.
Fantastic. All right. AJ, would you like to go next?
I'm ready.
All right. Well, on your mark, it does go.
So, as to no surprise, I've been playing a lot of Dreams. Still. And I've got my second level made for my snowboarding game, Dream Borders VR. It's called Cyborg Punk. Dave did a stream last night, which was fantastic to watch.
Got deleted from YouTube because I played too much copyrighted music.
It was worth it. It was worth it. You had to be there.
Let me play a bunch of NoFX songs.
Yes, and it was awesome watching you play to NoFX. But anyways, got that done. Then I started doing this thing, remixing, and I've got a stream on it you can check out. But you can basically take games. I was mixing dinosaurs and Jurassic Park vehicles, and I was doing cyberpunk bikes in Dragon Ball Z world, and a Mega Man in a cyberpunk futuristic city. I actually just published Mega Man VR demo this morning, so you can go play it if you want. But Dreams just continues to be amazing. I'm getting better and better each day at learning not only the tools, but what I can do with the game. It's absolutely super.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, Brian, it's all on you.
It is.
Everyone's talking about Wingstop. So do you want to do a should we or shouldn't we about Wingstop?
By the way, we should have totally had Mark do a should we, shouldn't we?
Well,
we should have made it.
That's the plan. I even told him ahead of time, just like we told Rob Yescombe ahead of time. we said this is what we do on the show, and he was ready for one. But what happened was we dove right into questions and answers, like reading questions, and it just became this interview. So I was like, well, why the fuck would I derail the show? I'm not Dave. So why would I derail questions when we're already in the heat of an interview? I was like, fuck it, man. Let's just keep it rolling. And so I
derail interviews with interesting topics. Thank you.
So the point is, on my mark, get Des, go. Oh, motherfucker. Nothing ever works when it's supposed to.
You can't.
Go. There we go.
So, there you go.
Yeah, so because of State of Play, we saw Spelunky 2. We saw some extended footage of that for the first time. And I was like, man, I this is making me, strangely, I don't care that much about Spelunky 2, right? It looks like it branches very, very far out from its original focus, and I didn't need a sequel. It
looks exactly like Spelunky 1. What are you talking about?
I mean, how much have you played Spelunky 1?
1,000,000 times.
Okay, but I mean,
visually, it's the same.
Visually, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the fact is like Spelunky 1 is very focused. Like, even though there's some different environments, there's very few things. There's a lot of things you can do with a very few number of things. And Spelunky 2 makes it look like there's a whole lot more stuff out there. And I'm just like, man, it seems less focused based on the trailers. And so all I wanted to do was play Spelunky 1. I played a ton of Spelunky 1, and man, that game gets better the more you play it. And I took a long break from it, and now that I'm back, I love it. I had to buy a new Vita charger. But yes, buy a new Vita charger. It's a should we, because your Vita should not lay uncharged.
All right.
That's my should we shouldn't we wasn't actually Spelunky. It was buying
It's
a
about
Vita charger.
charging your Vita.
Yep.
I like how your light is subtly shifting up and down. It's got an interesting. You notice that? There you go. It's a little brighter.
Thank God
No?
Mark wasn't here for this.
It's dark. What's wrong with you, Brian? Shut up.
What's wrong with me? Shut up. Turn the camera off. I love it. Okay.
You're
Look,
sassy today.
he's getting a little sassy. I love it. All right. Well, it's a good thing the first half of the show was good.
Yes. All right. Well, we actually have a lot of VR stuff to talk
Is it
about.
time for some news?
It is time for some news.
Excellent.
There are 7 things to talk about today, and it
Baker's
is,
dozen.
Perfect.
but yeah, so we're going to start off, of course, with whatever PS5 stuff is going on. Obviously, there's not a whole lot of news at this time. However, there was a picture that was released that had it was somebody holding a DualSense controller, and it just had like the battery life on it, and it just basically showed that it was slightly increased. You know, it's going to have more battery life, most likely. I don't know, because we actually don't know how long it's going to last yet. But there have also been some rumors. Rythian Wrights on Twitter said that so SIE is heavily expanding Guerrilla Games, Visual Arts, Naughty Dog, Insomniac Games, Polyphony Digital, Japan Studio, Shanghai Studio, XDev Europe, London Studio, Santa Monica Studio, San Diego Studio, and Kuala Lumpur Studio. And this is all gearing up for the launch of the PS5 that we know Xbox and PS5 are still having kind of a standoff right now. Brian, this all comes from job listings that were like a lot of open positions. What do you think of all this?
Dude, I'll tell you what I think of this. This is perfect, man, because Sony's totally gearing up for next gen. And it's not even, it's like they don't actually have to do this, right? Because they're doing fine, they're firing on all cylinders, they're doing their thing. Most of these studios put out one game every few years, except for Guerrilla, who gets to put out a game every 7 years, which is craziness. Gotta love those guys. When the fact is all of these teams are expanding by at least 25% each. And so when you look at these huge teams that are expanding by 25%, how many was that? You just listed off like 10 studios. That means every single one of these studios, they're probably gearing up for PlayStation 5 games, or they've got PS5 games in the works and have for a while. But to me, this goes, if they really want to focus on VR, then they can have like a little subdivision of each of these studios working on VR games. Obviously, Insomniac is an awesome VR developer, but it's just one small part of Insomniac that's making VR games. And I feel like Sony eventually wants to do that with more of their studios. What do you think it means?
I don't know. I actually only included it because you told me to. But
I have no opinions on this. Let's move on.
I think naturally, companies expand if they're doing really well. Obviously, what I would like to see, you see Japan Studio in here, you see Polyphony Digital in here, Insomniac. I'd love to see Insomniac, who we recently acquired, start to maybe work on their next, work on a VR game. I would love to see, like, whether it be Spider-Man VR or an original IP, I would love to see them. What's up, dude?
I have a thing to say here. As far as them working in VR, they were doing a bunch of Oculus stuff previous to this acquisition, where they're going to be Sony exclusive. And there are some games, like there's one called Edge of Nowhere. That's a third-person, like a survival horror kind of. And there's also this one called Feral Rights that I don't think anybody has ever spoken about ever in the world.
I know, I've never even heard of it.
So they've made 3 VR games for Oculus that didn't make much of a splash, to be entirely honest. So I hope that Sony positions them in a spot where they can leverage IP the way that they leveraged Spider-Man, because like their standalone IP stuff hasn't done that well as far as VR goes, or it hasn't made a big impact. So I just hope that they either get them a really good IP, or they've got something original that's really good. But we'll see. We got a few tips actually.
Let's knock out these tips. Yeah, and so that is, of course, just like kind of a, it's not a rumor because it's there's stuff going on, but
Are we going all the way back to Nihilist Ryan, the game feline?
yeah, I think we.
With the $5 donation saying, love it when you guys bring devs on with a little heart. Thank you very much,
That's
Nihilist
right.
Ryan, for the donation. And man, this is we love it when devs want to be here. I don't want to go too far on a tangent here, but Without Parole has always been like this kind of like fucked up little project, right? Where it's just like, we just do things however the fuck.
Yeah, seat of our pants, whatever.
We fly by the seat of our pants. We don't just do things however we think they should be done. And there's probably better ways to do all of it. And so
I'm sure.
The fact that any developer even cares what's going on over here is mind blowing, and we're thrilled whenever they want to be part of it. The next one comes from ET2K9.now with a $10 donation saying, you guys are the perfect precursor to the weekend.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Can I be Jack? Who wants to be Dexter? And who wants to be Legacy?
I've never played Jack and Daxter.
You guys are insane.
I'm more of a Ratchet and Clank guy myself.
Interesting. That's
Speaking
okay.
Of which, news story. I don't know if this is on your list, AJ. The developers of Ratchet and Clank are making a Ratchet and Clank game in Dreams.
Yes.
It's not VR specifically. They never said it was VR, but it's a thing.
If they allow it to be remixed, I'm going
AJ's making it VR.
I'll make it first person, so
Yeah.
we'll have a first person Ratchet and Clank game.
Fuck
I bet you
yeah.
they will make something badass.
Oh, I'm sure.
They will be able to make something really good in Dreams, I'm sure.
So,
All right, so
We got more
moving
tips
on-
actually, don't we?
Yeah, we
Oh,
do.
do we? Oh, my bad. That is K Panic, the Game Cat Dreamer, with the $2.99 donations. Says, I call a new name for remix, Dreamix. Let's go. I'll start doing. I'm going to start doing these remix streams, and I'll call them the Dreamix streams.
It's pretty entertaining because you can just take anything that exists and
Anything
make
can
it
happen.
part of what you like. On the fly, I was watching AJ the other night. On the fly, he was just like, "Okay, let's take this sedan and make a ramp, and then let's put a mech in this city with stuff to shoot, and I'll just copy paste the stuff to shoot." Like, it was so quick and easy for him to spin up a really simple game just using stuff that people had already created. So get in there with Dreams because there's like a lot you can do that's not even that hard, really.
It's incredible. Finally, that is Communist Bean, the cat game, with the 50 donation. Says,
North
my
Korean
nephew,
Kroners, wow.
says my nephews tested Beat Saber for the first time today. One of them beat a song an expert. First try after only half an hour with the game. So impressed.
Incredible.
I'm
Wow.
so
Why do we
unhappy
suck
right
so
now.
And the
bad? Why do we
genetics.
suck so bad?
So unhappy.
The kids and their genetics and their good eyesight and fast reflexes. Give it time. It'll
It sounds
wear
like
out.
this kid is one of those things from a TV show where the government genetically enhances kids to be super soldiers or something. Like, how do you get expert on Beat Saber in 30 minutes? That doesn't even seem feasible.
Hey guys, so first of all, that drives me insane because it took me months and months and months and months to work up to expert. But I also just sent you guys a Google Drive link, so if you want to check that out while we're doing this.
Thank you.
Okay.
I apologize, AJ. I just got your text and I was like, oh yeah, no, I didn't prepare for the
Yeah,
show
I
at all.
kind of need
Where
to
did
see
you-
that.
where
Everyone's
did you
asking about Alvo.
Without Parole, so
yeah,
punk
dude,
rock that we
Alvo
didn't
stuff.
actually get our shit together.
Well,
I
the
need
other
to see
punk
this.
rock thing is that you told me there was stuff we couldn't ask Mark, and I never heard what it was. So I probably asked him half the shit I
None.
wasn't supposed to.
You didn't say anything. Who did I tell?
really?
AJ? That's so weird. I thought I told you both. I thought I texted
Yeah,
you.
you told me.
My bad.
I have no idea.
See, we don't.
I think I asked
Okay,
you.
I am watching Alvo. This looks okay. His gun is like zebra print.
Hold on.
Okay, so
Dave.
maybe we should watch Alvo then, because there we go.
Let's watch it.
All right.
Okay.
Well, so Steve over there at Martin Pole, developers of Alvo, sent me a little bit of new footage, and these are some environments that we've seen before, but it is interesting to see how they all kind of connect to each other, because I've never seen how these pathways connect, and also this is the stuff that we're seeing here is a lot of it's from like the original trailer that they sort of like recreated with like these with what they're doing now. So it's actually looking more like the original trailer than ever, and there's some vehicles in there as well.
Can you full screen it? Put audio on.
We're absolutely going to do our best. Absolutely going to do our best.
We can just sit here together and watch this and let the community see this because it looks pretty good.
I'm watching right now, and yeah, it does look really good. Steve CLT.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, guys, give me 1 second. We'll make it happen.
We're gonna throw it on the screen for you guys.
Looking
Yep.
like a free roam Crisis Brigade too, honestly, in terms of the environment design and stuff, and the cool skin he has on his gun. Although mechanically, it's nothing like Crisis Brigade.
All right, here we go. Let's fade on over. We're going.
Okay.
And now they can hear us too, which is even better.
Cool. Yeah, this is looking really good.
Yeah,
Really
no, this,
sharp.
like oddly good. To be
Remember
honest,
the first footage we saw?
Yeah.
Like this is more like it. This is what we've been waiting for it to look like this. And like you said, I'm a huge Counter-Strike fan, and to me this is just like if it's got the team deathmatch and the aim controller and the Counter-Strike feel to it. Obviously, I don't know exactly. There's supposed to be a couple different modes, but there's like kill streaks, customization. This is looking very good so far.
Right. I really enjoy some of the movement speed that he's showing off as well. Like obviously, taking his time around here, but like there was points where he was like darting from one spot to another, and really far more of a Call of Duty style of movement, like a much faster paced arcadey movement style than that we're used to seeing in something more tactical like Firewall.
Yeah, it seems like they did a lot of work on the sound design too. I'm wearing headphones right now, and the sound design is really good.
Nice.
The
So
guns
I love Justin's comment. He said, "Big lime green sports car in the middle of the battle zone." Ooh.
It's also got Steve's license plate on it.
Yeah, of course it does.
So I'm assuming that's that either that's his car or that's his dream car. But look, so one of the things that
I think if you're a small indie dev making a VR game like this, that's your dream car, not the car you own. Probably.
Probably the case. Yeah.
Probably.
So one of the things I like about this is how obviously there's so much different texture work, and you can see like that the street, this got cobblestone streets next to like bricks, and then there's like even different textures next to that. Because one of the things that we'd seen earlier, one of the levels that they showed off was like this not castle, but it was like a lot of stonework, but it was like the same stonework repeated over and over and over and over and over again. So I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that stage again. Now that we've seen how much more refined things have gotten, because man, that looks super slick.
That does look really good. Man, yeah, I'm super excited for this. I think they're gonna have a beta, right? It's supposed to be a beta coming out for this.
Pretty soon.
They did just pass consult, so congratulations once again to you guys. And yeah, this is looking fantastic. I can't wait.
I'm curious though. This is like an environmental checkout video, but there's no combat in this, and every other video had combat in it. So I'm curious, like, what is the current state of the actual shooting people and the AI and all that stuff? Because this looks great from just like a walking around a VR place kind of deal, and it does have kind of a Call of Duty feel to it. I agree with that, but at the same time, how's the AI? How's the shooting? This is the stuff I want to see soon.
Well, I think this is well, they've actually shown that first. I think this was more just like a look at the level.
Yeah. Well, the level looks great then. Yeah, that's all this is supposed to
be. They've shown, and they've been beta testing and a bunch of stuff. So or testing, I should say, pre consult. So this was to show off just like one of the new maps, and yeah, it's looking really fly. This is looking great.
And it's big too.
From Joe Grever.
Yeah, pretty big.
I'm going to read this one because it's Carlos related. He says, Carlos the Kurosawa crotch licker. Yeah, that happened. ROFL. Well, see, you're roasting Carlos so much that he left the stream. He's not even here anymore. He doesn't appreciate this. You guys are giving him a hard time for just doing cat stuff. He's gone. So I hope you're happy, Joe.
So guys, I think Steve took us on a pretty big tour of this level here. So like, just what are your thoughts on the size of it? Like, can you, based on what we're looking at here, can we compare it to like a Firewall stage? Does it seem like the same general scope?
It looks a little smaller. I mean, firewall stages vary. Like I would say the newest one is pretty big, and there's a lot of different areas to go to. Black Site, it's much smaller than Black Site, but some of the early firewall levels, I think it's closer in scale.
They said these changes were made based on tester feedback to add more cover to some areas and dress up the map.
It looks like there's a lot of cover. I really that was one of the things I actually noticed when he was going through for the first run here, because there's like pillars, there's cars, there's all sorts of things to duck behind. There's a fountain in the middle. I mean, it's just this is great. I want to know. I mean, I want to get in there and and see how it feels to run around like at this speed. The other thing I don't think he's showing off at all here is that you can like jump. You can jump up these boxes. Oh, there you go. He just jumped. You can actually jump from like platform to platform. So you can jump down from platforms as well. So there's a lot of maneuverability, I think, in these maps, and maybe a little bit more verticality than we're used to in games without jumping.
I'm so excited for this, man. We need a game like this so bad right now.
Yeah, just something to revitalize things, like something brand new. I mean, nothing wrong with Firewall. It's a great game. But man, it's just like we've been playing it for so long. It's time for to inject a little new life into PSVR headsets.
Totally.
Yeah, I really hope this can have the same kind of viability that Firewall did. You know, like it's not going to be as polished. I think we can all agree on that.
Right.
But there's this kind of spectrum. You know, you've got Honor and Duty, which is a game that when we get people together, like we can get a good game going. But on a day-to-day basis, probably is not as populated as a Firewall, obviously. But I think this is somewhere in the middle, like smack dab in the middle between Honor and Duty and Fire. Like it's got a different game mode.
I don't 100% agree with you, to be honest.
So do you think it's not going to pull the same kind of...
I think it's going to do really well if it runs properly. But I don't agree with the maybe not as polished. I mean, it's looking pretty good right now, and in terms of gameplay,
I'm sorry, there's no way it would be as polished as Firewall.
What do you mean by polished, though? Like looking, or
looking, UI, menus, DLC, free updates, new maps.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, it's a smaller team, but I think just for going by the footage here, it looks fantastic. And to me, it looks great.
I'm talking about viability. Like, will it unseat Firewall? Will it hang out there with Firewall? Will it be? I hope it does. We'll have to play it and see.
Yeah. But thank you guys for definitely bringing us, letting us reveal this footage. It's looking awesome.
Yeah, and just to Dave's point, I think Firewall was one of the games that made us go, we should hold off judgment until we've actually got our hands on it and see how the developers support it and see what happens post launch. We had some major reservations about Firewall, and those guys, First Contact, delivered. I mean, far exceeded every expectation we had for supporting their game.
Yeah, and I still have reservations about Solaris too, honestly, but we'll see when it gets here. Firewall, I posted a video about I didn't think it was going to be all that people chalked it up to be, and I was wrong, and I was glad to be wrong.
Right.
Because it is a really good game, and they've done a good job with it. I just hope they keep it up with other stuff like Solaris. Anyways.
As far as Alvo goes, though, we'll certainly have a lot more news for you coming up in the next week or two, and we'll keep you posted on every single thing that Martin Pohl allows us to talk about. All right, what's next on the news report, AJ?
Real quick, Alvo says, our passion for Firewall is what pushed us to make Alvo. And that's always good, because you want to hear that developers are aware of the other big games out there in their genre.
We were just talking about that with Mark.
Yeah, exactly. So
these kind of games can feed off each other, can push each other, and generate more interest as a whole. And I think it's just good for everybody. All right, so moving on, Mortal Blitz Combat Arena codes have popped up on the PlayStation Store. As we learned recently, this doesn't always mean that release is imminent. However, we did hear that this was going to be have a beta that was going to come out in August for release. So, and then they're hoping for a launch in September. This is a free-to-play game. So, we might get the beta for And it was, this is the big thing though, is that at the time we didn't know what region it was. The codes that got registered basically said USA, all of them.
Hmm.
So I think it's safe to assume now that we are going to get a US release of Mortal Blitz Combat Arena.
That's interesting because I know Skonek shifted gears to like location-based VR entertainment, and I think this sounds like something that came from VR arcades that's getting ported back over to PSVR. And they always promised more Mortal Blitz. You know, like when the first one ends, it's chapter 1. You think there's going to be more to it. So hopefully this expands the universe in some way or like pushes forward what we already saw. But it sounds like maybe just a straight up multiplayer deathmatch, which would be cool too. Like, do you have any real details about what the game is at this point?
Yes. I mean, Brian, do you know anything about it? I do, but if you know, I would like you to.
Only what you've told me
It's your
before.
turn, Brian.
Yeah. No. I skipped my turn. AJ, get on
Skip
it.
my turn.
So it is a
No, motherfucker, you can't do that.
It is a
I was betting
node-based
Tornado.
teleport, cover-based shooter. I think 4v4, 1 versus 3 or 4 online, up to 4 online players. There's supposed to be tons of unlockable weapons, anything from like shotguns to rocket launchers, and it's got a really cool mechanic to it. You kind of get behind these glass shields, and you're firing at each other, you're covering, and then but these glass shields obviously can eventually break, and so it looks frantic. It looks fast paced. It looks very arcade style. It's very much looking like a mixture between an arcade shooter and PvP. And I think it looks really fun, actually. I usually like little kind of oddball multiplayer games like this.
It sounds a lot like Tower Tag, which is the thing that I've played on PC VR, and a lot of people in chat, like Drew and Justin and them, I've played with them. And it's pretty much exactly what you described, node-based teleporting between these certain locations that have a kind of a cover, but you lean out from behind the cover, and eventually it deteriorates. So that concept actually works really well as a gameplay mechanic. I've played it, and it works. So if that's where they're taking Mortal Blitz, I think that could be pretty satisfying.
Yeah.
Do we know anything about like pricing or
Free to play, right?
Free to play.
free? That's what I was guessing. That's why I asked. I thought it might be free to play.
Yeah.
Maybe like a
Also
cosmetic.
uses aim
DLC.
controller.
Oh, the aim controller. Okay, very
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, good stuff.
Very good.
Yeah. Definitely looking forward to checking this out.
Yeah, the last teleportation-based shooter that I played, Smashbox Arena. That was so good.
Oh,
Oh
no.
wow. Yeah.
I thought you were going to
That's a
say.
dodgeball game.
I thought you were
Dodgeball
going to
guns.
say wands.
Oh, yeah, I guess that was the last one.
That was not a good one.
We don't
No
we
offense.
don't we don't speak of wands.
Yeah, no offense to them, but a cover-based shooter seems a lot more fun than what Wands was. I think maybe
Yeah.
Wands was better as a concept, like when VR was kind of still new.
Well, it's an Oculus Go game, so that'll tell you what you need to know.
Right. It got to PlayStation VR very, very late, and it was kind of inconsequential at that point, unfortunately. I like what Handyman Ken, what's up, Liv, saying. He says, I feel like Dave needs some dark eyeliner or something to enhance the effect of his Kurosawa mode.
I don't
If
know
I
why
had
I'm
some,
doing this.
if I had some, I would do it.
Well, wait. You want to go check
You
your
know-
neighbors or anything? Or
Well, I don't have any. I don't think my neighbors do. I mean, a woman lives next door. I'm sure she does, but I'm not going to go ask her right now. That would be weird.
okay.
I could dip my fingers into a candle and take the ash and go like this. But okay, I'll be back.
I wasn't being serious, but if he's being serious, then I'm thrilled. Jay Meow asks, I have a random question. Is White Moon Dreams defunct now? Or are they still making games? We don't know if they're making any of their own games, but they certainly do help with PSVR ports. And they are definitely helping making PSVR games, helping other studios with their PSVR games. Even before Starblood, they were like such an integral part of Sony developed games. So I don't think we've heard the last of White Moon Dreams. That's for certain.
No, that would be a tragedy because they're so talented.
Right. Oh, 100%. 100%. All right, man. Well, Mortal Blitz Combat Arena looks awesome, but we got to wait for that.
Yeah, hopefully not long. Like I said, maybe we get the beta this month. If not, it's supposed to be a September release.
Interesting. I like it. What do you think? What do you think we're paying for? Because there's no free to play model that doesn't have you paying for shit. So what are we actually paying real money for in this game? What do you think?
Probably skins. Probably cosmetic stuff. Maybe some weapons. There could be, worst case scenario, there could be some free to play. I mean, some like pay to win stuff. That's what I wouldn't want to see.
Yeah.
But I would think because it's a 4v4 combat arena, I think you could probably have some of your own cosmetic stuff running around and fighting with.
Speaking of cosmetic stuff, I just rubbed ashes underneath my eyes, but I don't think it looks like eyeliner, and I might go wash it off.
It doesn't
It's a little uncomfortable.
look like eyeliner. Where did you get ashes from? Was it from an ashtray or from like a chimney?
From a candle.
Okay. I'm just asking the questions that the GameCast want no answers to.
Yeah, no, I can show you where I got them from if you need to know.
No, I'm good.
But,
Totally
yeah.
good.
I smell great right now because it's a very good scented candle.
Nice.
That's all I'm saying.
That's very important for a stream.
The VR grid says you got to pay for ammo. What's up, Ryan?
You better not.
I'll just be out of ammo all the time. Fuck that.
Hey,
game.
out of ammo. Remember that game?
I try not
did.
to. Yeah, not a good one.
It got burned on a viewer takeover recently.
Yes.
Sure did. All right, man. What's next on the AJ report?
Okay, so we got this hilarious trailer, guys, for Tarzan. After a year and whatever of waiting for this, we finally got a mixed reality trailer, and it's getting kind of mixed reaction. Is there any way you can play like 5-10 seconds of
Can we
clips?
sit here and watch the whole trailer? I love this.
No, I don't want to watch the whole trailer, but I would love to show for those who don't know what I'm
Turn the sound up as we speak. Sound is up.
Let's take a quick look at this.
Are you able to show the
I am the Lord of the jungle.
I want to show you.
Used to matching my wits against others. Used to fighting for survival. I am Tarzan. The entire jungle is my home. I won't let them destroy my jungle. Kill my friends and drive me from my home.
Okay, Brian, I can play this video afterwards.
So I gotta say, man, I'm a little. I find this trailer to be a little questionable. Like,
Yeah,
is it
very questionable?
Are they trying to make it like it's such a bad trailer on purpose that it's like?
No, it's supposed to be a good trailer.
Or do you think it's totally trying to be serious? Here? How serious do you think they are with this trailer?
They tried to make a pistol whip mixed reality trailer, and they fucked up.
Yeah, I think they were being very serious, and it was I think mixed reality in the first place. I understand that people like oh, mixed reality is the only way you can show that you're in the game, but all it's showing me is like this fucking terrible Mortal Kombat 1-ized version of their game, where it's just like some of the early PlayStation VR trailers or promo material showed the guy like putting on his headset and then like the camera like zooming into his head or whatever, and being like, this is, and it was really well done. It was like, I understand that. I put the headset on, I'm in the game, got it. But for there to be like a character, like an actual person.
And this guy looks nothing like Tarzan, by the way. He
Yeah.
looks like he worked at a fucking ad agency.
I actually
And
thought
he
he was
like,
I thought he was PSVR Frank for the first 3 seconds. I'm not gonna lie to you.
yeah, probably so.
Yeah.
Probably so. That's what I'm saying.
LJ
So, he's not much of a Tarzan himself. What's up?
LJ says not sure if that was the worst trailer I've ever seen or the best trailer I've ever seen.
It's
Right.
somewhere in the middle.
Can we talk about the song, by the way?
Yeah.
Because that. So I know Bel Ramio really likes this song, but I think that's because he's European in a very specific, strange way. And I don't mean that in any negative way to you Europeans out there, but it's not a good song. It's, in fact, a quite laughably bad song. It's incredibly bad, but it's been stuck in my head for days.
So it's doing the job then.
Oh, sort of. Yeah. I mean, any press is good press. You know what I mean.
That's what I was wondering. That's why I was like, is this intentional to get people talking about it? What I will say,
but it did get people talking. So
it got us talking about it, I guess.
Also, it's just like
there's people
super
on Twitter.
widescreen. It's
Brian, play the thing that I posted.
I got to download it through a Twitter YouTuber, to a Twitter downloader thing first.
What I will say is the combat itself, or the gameplay itself, there's actually glimpses of some cool stuff. There's of course the swinging, which we know is a great sensation after playing the Spider-Man Far From Home experience. There is like melee combat. There's like, you know, I can't wait to see how much of this island you can actually explore. Like if you can swim underwater and stuff. I love exploring underwater. There's even a part where like the girls like banging on the drums and stuff. I'm like, what is that? Like, is there a rhythm game in here somewhere?
Yeah, they put heavy drummer mode.
No, so that's
I hate it
what
so
you,
much.
we call what the hell did they say on there? I forgot what they said, but they said it's something to like call, not reinforcements. It's something like the call of the wild, call of the jungle. Like when you need extra help or something, and so you got to bang on the drums to I don't know. I forgot what it was. I have to look it up.
And the lions.
That's what it is. You summon them.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. And I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I'm sure you just grab it out of your backpack and you put it in front of you and then you play them or something like that. That's my guess anyway. I have no idea.
What I'm wondering is, so they showed the dude, and then they show the woman playing the drums and stuff. Can you be male Tarzan or female Tarzan, or is she Jane, and you play as Jane and Tarzan? I'm curious.
It's a good
Or
question.
can you choose to be Jane?
It does
or
show
Tarzan?
her. I
Like,
think it does show her shooting a bow. No, she's swinging right there. I see her swinging right there.
Yeah, it's
So
like
I'm
you just
curious
get to
if you
choose your
pick your
gender.
character. Like you just choose your gender, which is cool. I like
Or
that.
if it's a story-driven thing where you're kind of both.
Or it doesn't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You might be Jane sometimes. You might be Tarzan sometimes. That would be cool, like campaign style.
Or
But it
maybe
looks
it's
like
just showing a
super
girl
kind of-
playing and a guy playing. Maybe that's all it's doing. Like,
Well,
look,
yeah,
look.
mixed
Even if you're a
reality.
girl, you can
True.
play games.
True.
Mixed reality trailers are supposed to make stuff relatable, and I think that's, you know, you got a guy, you got a girl, anybody can be Tarzan. Great job.
My question is when I play the
so-
game, do I have to unbutton my shirt completely and play like that?
Can I ask
play with
if anyone else
exposed
felt
chest.
like when he starts out and he's in the ocean, right,
Mhm.
and he's walking towards the shoreline, he does this thing where he pulls two controllers out of his hands or his pockets, but it looks like he's about to pull his pants down. Every time I watch this,
What?
it looks like he's about to drop trout.
I've
And
never
he's just
seen
like
this.
walking. No, check it out.
I'm going
he-
to.
He's walking through the water, and he goes to grab his little Vive controllers, whatever the fuck he's got, and it looks like he's gonna pull his pants down. I
Also
love it.
throw
It's very satisfying.
people.
I will say, for a mixed reality trailer, it was well done.
It's bad,
Like,
terrible.
like I thought it was a good mixed reality trailer, but because I think that we've seen, I don't know, I feel like most mixed reality trailers are fucking terrible, and this one I think got the job done. It was a little goofy. I don't
it's
think.
hilariously bad. What are you talking about?
I mean,
It's
but-
so
but-
bad.
But again, do you
But
think
it
it was
did-
intentionally bad?
No, I don't think so. But
I don't
also,
know. I went back and watched it a second time a little bit later after thinking that it was already like the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
And I watched it again. I was like, okay, it's actually not that bad. The second time.
of the
jungle.
I watched it. But yeah, it's goofy as hell.
I mean, it's
It's goofy.
Tarzan. It's Tarzan. I mean, I think everything, in 2020, to play a Tarzan game, everything's got to be a little tongue in cheek, right?
Um,
How
Yeah, I
seriously can you
suppose, for
possibly
sure,
take
yeah.
it?
Okay,
but-
hold on.
Okay.
I'm supposed to wish somebody a happy birthday.
Oh,
This goes to, wow, he will not stop. That's a long birthday message. That's for your Jackie sister. Always look forward to Thursdays because of GameCast. Thank you, Max Noel. $10 donation.
Thank you.
Says, Dave, can you wish my sister Jackie a happy birthday? Thanks, guys. Jackie,
happy birthday, Jackie.
Hold on. He said Dave. He didn't say you, AJ.
I guess I
He
won't
likes
do it
me.
either. Then.
Jackie's a fan of Dave here. Now, Jackie, I want to tell you, I hope that today was the best day you've had in a long time. It's been a rough year, but it's your birthday today, and I hope you treat yourself. Hope you got some good gifts. Hope you're having a great time, Jackie. And you've got a great brother, Max Noel, who would tip $10 for me to say hello to you. So thank you. I hope you're having a great day, and stay golden. You're great.
I would say happy birthday, but Dave told me we're not allowed.
No, it's for me. They asked me
No,
specifically.
I'm on board, man. I got it.
It's all me.
Excellent.
And now I disappear.
All right. Well, that's Tarzan, and we didn't. What we do know about Tarzan is that it's going to be episodic, and man, like we started off saying they showed off a lot of great mechanics in this, like showing hand-to-hand combat, showing some weapons. I don't know why I can't speak today. Actually, dude, some of that came through in the top 20 list. Like I totally slurred half of my speech, and I didn't even want to do like a second take because it took me 12 hours to edit the top 25 list today. So you're gonna hear me like slur some things that I didn't even bother fixing. But like, dude, but one of the things they showed in this trailer that I thought was so cool that we haven't even talked about was sure, like you're punching dudes and stuff, like melee combat, but then he like grabs them and just throws them like a fucking
Yeah,
old
he
school
does start throwing
16-bit
guns,
brawler.
that's true.
I'm like, how cool is that? I feel like I haven't seen that outside of like drunken bar fight. so cool to see it in a more polished game.
Yeah, no, it looks cool. I mean, there's some stuff here gameplay wise that looks fun.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, I'm wiping the ash off my eyes.
I
Brian,
know.
sorry.
It's like you turn the camera off, and I was like, oh, he must be going to take the ash off, and you come back to do it on camera.
Well, I have
love
a
it.
bottle of water, so I just poured it in my hands and
Nice.
did that.
Nice. I was actually watching Tom Segura talk about. I've been on a binge watching some Netflix YouTube videos and I love Tom Segura, one of my favorite comedians. He talked about how he overdosed one time on GHB.
Wow.
It's yeah, no.
Wait, GHB is a date rape drug, right?
Yeah, but we all used to do it for fun. It's like
Who's we all? You and Tom Segura?
No, like people of my age who like.
Okay.
We were like we were
old guys. You're talking about old guys.
Old guys, yeah. No, we do GHB and like, but and then we're like, we found out actually, we were like, oh, what's this date rape drug? And it's like, oh, that shit you do. I was like, oh fuck, we're date raping ourselves.
Date raping ourselves,
right?
Yeah.
I was like, we were totally fucking. But yeah, go check it out though. It's a really funny story about how he overdosed.
It's
like,
oh, okay, never mind.
yeah, no, overdose stories shouldn't be funny, but Tom Segura is hilarious, and he could talk about his grocery shopping trip, and it would be the funniest thing ever. So anyway, okay, should we move on?
Yeah, what do we got left? We got 4 news stories.
Yeah, a couple more. We got so Hitman VR. This is actually pretty big news. Hitman VR and IOI Interactive released some new footage, went a little bit more in depth about what we can expect, and showed off some new gameplay. And we got a first look at that.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm gonna watch this with you guys, because I didn't get a chance to watch this. Is this the end of a journey? Developer insights? No, that's not it.
No, it's the developer.
Become the Hitman. Hitman
yes.
3 VR. Yes, got it.
Okay, and I don't even have it for some reason, so I got to go re-download it.
It's a lot of people talking.
Yeah, I mean, so let me tell you what stuck out to me. It'll actually, Brian will get it up on the screen, but they just talk about like the overall experience. How much we always talk about how everything is better in VR, and how this game will potentially be mega enhanced, and the developers kind of feel the same way. They said that when they put on the VR helmet, that they were just like instantly knew that this was going to be a really cool experience. But the thing that stood out to me, and Brian actually mentioned this to me earlier, is how good this footage looks. How they show off like a tropical like paradise that he's walking around, and a couple other scenes. And graphically, there was like a character model that I thought was like just okay, but graphically, it looks stunning. And so I'm curious to see, just more on this. I really can't wait to play this. We got a tip too, by the way.
Oh, yes, indeed. Who's that?
That is Lipnox88. One could say he is excited for Hitman VR.
He's so excited.
The $2 donation says Hitman VR is unreal. My hype level is over 9,000.
Wow, 9,000. That's pretty high for hype levels, man.
For
I
sure.
thought they only went to 9,500.
Yeah, no, it looks really good, and I know there's been a lot of discussion. I saw in the comments today, people were talking about how they're really not clarifying, right? This looks kind of better than maybe a PlayStation 4 VR game. We've seen some PlayStation VR games that look this good, right? Especially on the social screen, but that's like they're few and far between. So if they're pulling off something that looks this good, this sharp, that's this well lit, that has this many, that's populated by this many people, that's just got all these mechanics going on that like just seem to look like they work really well. Like, are these guys? I mean, IO Interactive is pretty big, but you see the street scene that they're showing right now. You're hitting the guy over the head with the crowbar, and you look out. If you pause that scene and you look out into the distance and see exactly what's going on past the dude that gets hit in the head with the crowbar, and it's like the most fucking detailed street scene ever. And it's like, well, how big is this map? And like, can you walk out there? And even if you can't, how detailed is it really? Is that just like a backdrop or whatever? And if it's, I'm starting to subscribe to the conspiracy theories that they're giving us like a sneak peek at PlayStation 5 VR stuff, and that this potentially might not even be a PlayStation 4 VR game.
I'm on the fence about that. I think to me it looks like the level of graphical quality of like Blood and Truth if you took it off the rails.
Right.
It looks like Blood and Truth that is free roaming, which I think is feasible on a PS4, but probably would be much better on a PS5. Obviously, I think we all know that. And it would be weird to release a game in 2021 that didn't support the enhanced horsepower of the PS5. Like, it wouldn't really make a whole lot of sense to do that. So I think we have no clue about Sony's PS5 VR plans, really,
right,
concretely. But I think that it would be obvious to make this enhanced on PS5 so that it's like the ultimate experience.
I think this is PS4 footage. I thought
it was PC footage. I thought they said it was PC footage or something.
Oh, maybe I
might be wrong. I could have sworn they said the footage was like not from a PS4.
No, this is I am 99% sure this is PS4 footage.
Okay,
the
cool.
thing is, what I don't, like Brian said, I don't know. I think this could maybe just be social screen output. You know, maybe some of this more detailed thing, like when it shows that front of the building, it's probably maybe in certain parts going to get a little bit more aliasing, stuff like that. I would be very, very surprised if it just looked that crisp in the headset. With some of the resolution struggles, hardware struggles, but I would love to be proven wrong. I would love for it to actually look like that. This is a AAA company. This is a game that's been around for a long time. So I think I think they're very capable. And to answer your question, this is a sandbox environment style game too. So that's the other reason why I'm like, if it was more linear, I would probably be like, make a small corridor or something, make it very detailed. But I still think it's going to look fantastic regardless, especially on a Pro. I'd imagine it has Pro support. But yeah, I think this is PS4 footage. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, I guess I could see this coming out PS4 and PlayStation 5, both VR, and in that we're just obviously looking at the best footage possible. That this is that this could be a PlayStation 5. This could be PlayStation 5 footage, and that the PlayStation 4 version just doesn't even look this good. It's just the more I watch it, the more I'm convinced that maybe it's not PlayStation 4. Again, we don't know anything. We don't know anything, and it's I would be, if somebody told me today.
It says PlayStation 4 in the credits right here. I just paused the video. At the very end, it says PlayStation VR is not used for children under 12. PlayStation 4 system, PlayStation VR, and PlayStation camera are required to experience VR functionality. So that is, in fact, confirming PlayStation 4 footage. Just Incredible VR also says IUI uses a proprietary engine. It isn't Unity or Unreal.
Okay, so I'm
helps.
curious if this means that we'll see PS4 VR games even into the PS5 lifecycle. And I wonder what that means for playing it on a PS5. Because if this is PS4 centric, you know what I mean? Like if it's focused on PS4, then how does that look when it gets released? Also, I want to say real quick to who's in the chat?
You didn't even
Maxwell.
answer the first question.
No, Maxwell said, thanks guys, you're all great, but only because Dave has the same RPD jacket as Jackie, whose birthday it is. And this is my RPD jacket. It's Raccoon Police Department right there. Stars. All right. What question am I supposed to answer?
Yeah, I just read the stuff at the end, and yeah, I'm still not convinced that I'm convinced that it means that you're absolutely right. It will come out on PlayStation 4 VR, but right now Sony's not allowing anyone to say anything about PlayStation 5 VR. Period.
Absolutely.
No, everyone's on fucking lockdown. Sony is not allowing anyone to say anything about PlayStation 5 and VR in the same sentence. So, I feel like that could still be PlayStation 5 VR footage, and they're saying, but that does confirm that it's PlayStation 4 VR as well.
Let me ask you, why would they show PlayStation 5 footage? I mean, you think so? Maybe they're just showing it and like pretending like it's PS4. Like,
No,
if it was PS5 footage, wouldn't they be like, "This is VR on PS5"?
No, because so it's not something that any developer is allowed to talk about right now. So no, I'm sure they would love to say that, but Sony's got everybody on lockdown.
They're waiting for some big moment,
Yeah.
which will come within the next 4 months.
And if I was IO Interactive, I'd want to show off the best possible footage of my upcoming VR game, and it would obviously be the PlayStation 5 version.
it doesn't look like it's not feasible on PS4, the footage I saw. Like, I think that's doable on PS4. I don't think that it's definitely PS5 footage for sure.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying definitely by any stretch. I'm just saying that starting to lean in that direction. You know, a lot of people have these theories, and I'm starting to agree with them.
Johnny C says there's a Hitman 3 AMA tomorrow on PSVR Reddit.
Ooh, maybe we'll learn something tomorrow.
Maybe you should ask them.
You should totally ask them if this footage is from PlayStation 4. That'd be really good to know.
I mean, if you in the video, she's working on a computer behind her with a VR headset. So it could just be like running. It could just be captured from whatever dev kit or PS4
that could totally
PC
be true
they're
too.
working on, and then it's just it's not representative of the final product.
Yeah, but it looks so damn good that it would be a real shame if they were touting the game this way, and then not delivering this, to the people who are expecting it to come on PlayStation 4 looking this good.
This game can't fail though. Like, this is one of those games that has to be good, and I think it will.
It will be
like,
good.
I'm very convinced that this will be a good game when we get it.
I think it's gonna be an amazing game.
Yeah,
and we didn't get much from that state of play, but this is huge. I mean, Hitman is a major property. Everybody plays Hitman. It's like AAA. This is good stuff. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah. For anyone confused, I know I see some strange comments in the chat.
This is my favorite comment. David Moore says, Brian has a chair squeak. Dave has a swishing jacket. AJ, get you a noise, bruh.
Seriously.
You need to get
Working on
yourself
it,
a
man.
noise. Look,
I don't have noises, man.
get yourself a noise.
See, my chair only squeaks when it's very inconvenient. Like, it was squeaking during the whole interview, and now I can't get it to
I'm gonna
squeak if I
take this
wanted to.
jacket off, though. It is warm in Florida, and also it's making sounds.
It's craziness. Yeah. Just a heads up for anyone who doesn't know, PlayStation VR, your PlayStation VR headset will work on PlayStation 5. That's not in question. Also, this will use Move controllers. That's not in question. I know it was so strange to see people on the IO Interactive Twitter account saying, please support the DualShock 4. The Move controllers are terrible. I'm like, you really want to go walk up to somebody in VR and hit the X button to strangle them? No. Learn how to use Move controllers. Play Skydance Interactive's Saints and Sinners while we wait for Hitman 3 to come out, and learn how to use full locomotion by hitting a button. You'll get it, man. I swear. Takes a couple hours.
Amen.
You'll get it. What? Voice of God says
I
what?
just said amen. I said amen.
Oh, amen.
You know what's funny? In Sunday school, they hired me as the voice. Not hired. I didn't get paid. They signed me up to be the voice of God. And afterwards, old ladies in the congregation were like, "You should be on the radio. You have such a nice voice." And I briefly majored in radio television just because those old ladies told me when I was the voice of God that I was so great. Anyways, what do you want me to say as God?
You've got your camera off, so are you still pretending like you're majoring in radio?
I am God. Well, you can't see God.
I can only hear, but I hear God all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah,
well,
he
you
talks
need to
me.
see a psychiatrist if you hear God all the time,
I don't know. It's all good, man. It's all good.
or a rabbi. I'm not sure.
Why should that be a strange thing?
Someone asked for the nav controller for Hitman 3.
Oh God, please let's stop with the nav controllers. It's
Quit trying to bring the nav controller back.
Yeah. Like
Hey man, it worked for Golem, dude.
I think-
Golem with the nav controller is
I
great.
don't think it worked. I mean, it worked.
It's much better than
it
leaning
worked.
your head forward.
it
Yeah,
would have been so much better to have a second move controller with the full locomotion,
Yeah.
normal
Yeah,
fucking
just
controller.
like a normal ass. Yeah.
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 It worked. The only game it really worked for was tennis because you only need one hand in tennis. That's it.
Well, it's also really hard to play with it though, because like when it automatically teleports you around, it's really easy to hit the balls. When you have to run, you don't go fast enough. I don't know. This is like a deep cut complaint.
Yeah, maybe.
That nobody. Yeah, we can move on. But
I guess it's been a while since anyone cared about Dream Match Tennis. We probably.
that's true. But look at Carlos. He's so cute. He's not licking his balls right now. He's just stretching out.
Is it weird? Like so Tornado like sits like a person sometimes. Where is she? And her bottom leg, she just like puts him out like this. And so,
Yeah,
is
Carlos
that,
will do that.
that's
sometimes,
totally normal, huh? Because
Yeah, no. This is your first cat.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I've had like 7 cats in my life, so I'm pretty familiar with what they do. Yeah, they do that. It's a thing.
She likes the full body but belly rub. She like lays down and then falls on her back and just goes pet me all over. And I'm like, all right. I mean, as long as you're comfortable with it, Tornado, I'll pet you from head to toe.
Wait, so if I'm cut off in the middle, like on the sides, can you guys not see Carlos over here?
No, you're not cut off.
Okay, because Carlos is right there.
You were only cut off when Mark was here.
Gotcha.
Yeah. All right, let's move along. I think we got another story to get to.
Indeed, I'm sure we
Yeah,
do. What's up
I'm
next?
gonna let you guys take this one while I go refill real quick.
Okay, sure.
Labyrinth got a permanent price drop to $29.99 and is also getting a physical edition. Discuss.
Permanent price drops are always a good idea with games like this because, like, Space Channel 5, $40, no way. $25, maybe I'll tell you to buy that game. And that's a permanent price drop. We've also seen stuff like Astrobot, I think, got like a permanent price drop. Those classics, when you get that sort of like PlayStation Classics series on the PSN, where certain stuff that's good is always cheap. Like Resident Evil 7 Gold Edition is always cheap on sales and stuff. So they want you to get these games, and I think that that's always a good thing.
Well, what did
so we're going here?
So wait. So Last Labyrinth went from the atrocious $40 launch price, which was absolutely ridiculous. Can we all agree that was like a terrible, terrible price for this game?
Even Archangel is not worth $40, and it's way better than Last Labyrinth.
It was funny when you brought up Archangel. I was like, it was so funny because Skydance, like they actually dropped the price of Archangel from like $40 to $30 in the course of a week or two. Like they did not wait long to drop the price on the PlayStation Store. But even $30 for Archangel, it's like that.
It's debatable. It's a great game. It's very good. But...
No New Game Plus for Archangel. If it had New Game Plus, I would pay $30 for that game. But
you get all the upgrades as you go through. Yeah.
Right, and then you don't get them all by the end, and so I want to play through again and get them all and upgrade fully.
AJ's not with us in video, but he says in the chat,
he's with us in spirit.
Labyrinth is the Dark Souls of puzzle games. Discuss, Brian.
Bro, it's the dark corner of puzzle games that no one should ever go to. Here's what I love about Last Labyrinth.
No, I've never played Last Labyrinth, so school me on it. No, I avoided it because it cost $40 and I didn't get a code.
So lucky. I didn't get a key either, and there's a good reason for that. I think
there's a certain point at which I stopped buying games I wasn't interested in if I didn't get a code. And I'm sorry to my viewers, but that's just the case. Yeah. Although I did spend $5 on the Hatsune Miku DLC for Space Channel 5, and nobody else did that. Brian, did you buy it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, so just you and me. Nobody else in the world did that.
That's it. That's it.
Real quick, we got a Jello Boy thing, Jiggly Jamer Cat. I said Jamer Cat as a way to hit back at you for the GIF conversation.
Oh, it wasn't a slip of the tongue?
No, well, it was, but then I incorporated it into like an intentional thing.
$10 from Bit Jello Boy 30. That Jiggly Gamer Cat says, "Here's a little something to keep the treats coming for Tornado. Much love and many meows to you all."
He's got more treats than he'll ever need, by the way.
Oh my God, so many treats. Tornado is the most spoiled cat on the face of the planet. So yeah, Last Labyrinth, man. Last Labyrinth. I feel like $30 is still too much for this game, because
probably so. Yeah, I believe that.
It's so ridiculous, man. Like 90% of this game is just so goddamn boring, and it's basically, I don't even want to call it an escape room game. It's a series of rooms with puzzles in them.
Okay.
And when I say a series of rooms,
someone can die.
Yes, but here,
do you die or does the woman die? There's like a woman.
Yeah, the little girl.
Does she die?
She's your companion. She can die. You can die. She usually gets crushed by something.
Together at the same time.
Generally, you watch her die, and then you just know that death is coming for you soon after.
So it's sort of like, she's dead already. I'm next. Yeah.
Yeah. This game would have been so much better if you were the little girl and not strapped to a chair. I didn't get any kind of awesome.
Well, that's one of those things where I feel like developers are still, even great developers. These people worked on like Ico, Shadow of the Colossus. These are like top pedigree devs.
Yeah.
But I think they had this concept of like what works in VR and what doesn't work in VR. And we talked to Mark about this earlier, but it's like certain stuff, people go out of their way to be like, we're going to make this as comfortable as possible. So you'll sit in a chair and someone else will do all the stuff.
Yeah.
And like, that's early VR dev. Make you be the lady who runs around and does the puzzles.
Right.
And you've already got a much more interesting thing. Because if you don't watch her die, you're the one dying.
Yep.
And it sounds much more interesting that way.
Yeah, the big problem with
Anyways,
this is
what's the news story about this? What's the news story? It's got a
$10
physical
price
release.
drop. $10 price
$10
drop
and a physical release.
Physical release. As far as I know, AJ, correct me if I'm wrong, that the physical release is currently Asian territories only, and there's a limited edition and a regular edition. As far as I know, we haven't gotten any North American or European physical release.
There is a collector's edition, and a regular edition and collector's edition. I didn't know about the just in limited like regions, but I do know November 26th.
Okay. Yeah.
is
When I first saw this story, I started looking around for any place I could pre-order from, and all of them were uniquely Japanese or uniquely Asian territories, like stores that like wouldn't even ship to me.
It looks like it is. I think you're right. I think it is Japanese only for the physical, not for the.
That might
permanent
be
price.
somewhere to check out on Play Asia.
I checked
Sometimes Play Asia is good.
They were my first go-to.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, unfortunately, nothing.
Can I read a very good comment?
Yeah.
Abe Lincoln says, "Stunt Kite Master is the Dark Souls of kite games."
Yeah, agreed. 100%.
AJ, while you were gone, you were talking about the Dark Souls of certain things.
Yes.
I think that's pretty good.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I got to say that only pick up the physical version of this if you're just like an absolute diehard collector and you need every single physical edition there is. I don't recommend this game. The problem is I don't really recommend this game even for like $10 because the puzzles suck. The puzzles absolutely suck. They're not fun whatsoever. It's like I said, it's not an escape room game. It's a bunch of rooms with puzzles in them, and most of the puzzles are just fucking boring as hell. The only good thing about this is the horror vibe that comes with it.
Yeah.
There are some very cool moments that happen when you're in first person, and this is the 10% of the game that's cool. I said 90% of it sucks. 10% of it, I go, oh man, look at the potential this thing had. Like when things are actually happening in first person, and the killer in this is cool, but that's it, man. Like you have to get through a lot of fucking bullshit to see anything cool in this, and I do not recommend it at all. And this should be my kind of game. I love escape rooms. I love horror. And this is just doesn't do any of that well.
Sad to hear it, but
I don't know if the puzzles are just too hard for me or if they're just bad.
I had to pull out a pen and paper for one of them. It was like doing like long division algebra and shit to like figure out how many shapes should go in each.
So
come on.
I like the concept of having to pull out a pen and paper if I'm playing a flat screen game, but if I'm in VR, there's no goddamn way you want me to pull out a pen and paper. Like I have to slide the thing up, look down through my little. It's terrible. It sounds bad.
Yeah, and if you didn't have any problems with those puzzles, then you're way smarter than the rest of the world. I'm sorry. Like this is
probably so. Yeah.
Ridiculous. Anyway, shall we?
All right. So in more exciting news, The Walking Dead Onslaught finally got a release date today, as well as a first look at some new gameplay. And overall, it's been pretty positive. But yeah, the release date for Walking Dead Onslaught is as soon as I can find it. Somebody tell me when it is.
September 20 something.
September 25th.
Yeah. So it's about a month and a half from now, and basically
that might not be true. I don't know. Crap.
A month and a half. No, it is September 20 something. I guarantee you. it.
Okay.
But, they showed off some more gameplay in this footage, which is more than I've seen in a while. But it also doesn't really add that much to my
29th.
understanding of what the game is.
29th,
because
thank you.
29th. You see combat footage for the entire thing, and you hear Daryl Dixon talking as if there's like a campaign or a storyline or something's happening. But there's no cutscenes, there's no people interacting with each other. So what I'm wondering is like, where do they tie in that narrative element? Because they've shown the combat over and over again, and it looks fine. It looks kind of similar to Saints and Sinners in terms of you can shove a thing in their head. It's a little less gory, I think, maybe, but I don't know. The shotgun blast to the head looked pretty intense.
And they took the katana, right, and they sliced it down the walker's body, like right here, and like then a slash up here, like right here.
So they've got different kinds of body horror physics,
right?
But still in there. But I'm curious the most about how does the story play into it? Like, if you've got these iconic characters and you're putting it in the AMC franchise. And they took out multiplayer to focus on the single player campaign. What does that amount to?
So
are we going to get
in
like
the
a
PS blog
like
from in the PS blog from Amy Pantea, the senior product marketing manager, they do go a little bit into the story, and it says the Walking Dead Onslaught is set shortly after the Savior War in an Alexandria devastated by the fighting and struggling over its ideals. It will take risk and sacrifice to mend this broken society and rebuild the Alexandria safe zone for future generations. Are you prepared to do your part?
See, I think the next paragraph is really the interesting part, though. So I'll take over. I feel like this is like high school, where we just like take turns reading out loud.
Take turns.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Step inside the shoes of Daryl Dixon for an intense campaign mode as he recounts fateful encounter with a mysterious stranger. The game's infinitely replayable scavenger mode challenges you to embark on supply runs as Rick, Daryl, Michonne, and Carol, where they'll encounter overwhelming hordes of walkers and collect resources to rebuild their community, upgrade and modify iconic weapons from the show, and unlock new quests. What I think is interesting about that is that it doesn't. It obviously talks a little bit about crafting, and there's even like some you can see in the pre-order thing. There's even more of a mention of crafting, but some people were complaining about Saints and Sinners, saying they didn't like the weapon degradation stuff, and they didn't like having to repair weapons all the time. And this is making me think that it's possible this is going to have the same gameplay mechanic. But it also makes me think there's going to be base building, like actual like, oh, hey, like the big thing that I felt was missing from Saints and Sinners was taking these resources back and then being like, oh, I'm going to build some structures here.
Yeah.
To do some Dino Frontier work,
Even if it's like just surface level. So I remember in The Last of Us multiplayer, I don't know if you guys ever played the Last of Us multiplayer,
Yeah, it was good.
but it had this ongoing mechanic where based on how you performed, you would bring back supplies for your followers and your kind of settlement. And if you did poorly, people would die and get sick and stuff. And I think that's a really cool mechanic that would have been well utilized probably in a game like this. I agree.
Interesting. This isn't the first time I've seen this comment. For Andrew C says, seems like the game is being rushed out even after changing development plans. I think I have to disagree, especially after hearing what Mark had to say about all the changes they made in the last 3 months of Saints and Sinners. I feel like this game has been in development for a very long time, and so making major changes near the end, I don't think that's a big deal. I'm actually glad that they decided to focus on what they thought was important. Obviously multiplayer was going to sell this game to a lot of people, but Servio's the one making this game, and if they thought it was they could make a better game by focusing on single player, then I probably trust them on that.
Yeah, one thing that I'm a little worried about in terms of the way they're selling it, in this trailer they show you, I think, Daryl's perspective. He does some voiceover, the actual Norman Reedus. But then Rick is in there too. I'm not sure if that's actually Andrew Lincoln or not. He's doing Rick's voice. But in the Twitter post, they said Daryl and Rick. But Michonne and Carol are the other characters in this game. And I feel like I hope they don't get sidelined, because Carol is, to me, having seen the Walking Dead TV show that they're basing this on, Carol is one of the most interesting characters on that show. And the fact that the trailer shows nothing of her and the Twitter post didn't even mention her name, I'm kind of worried that some characters will have less of a fleshed out, if they're focusing on Daryl for the whole thing, that's cool. I love Daryl as a character, but Carol's great too, and so is Michonne. Rick I could kind of care less about, but I think I'm worried that they're focusing too much on Norman Reedus as the star power and not using the characters that are already good from The Walking Dead to their extent, because there's nothing in the publicity about those characters at all, which is a little worrying to me. That's all I got to say. We got some tips to take care of as well. We got two tips, I believe.
I got this first one. That is Whitticus, that one Game Cat with a $2 donation. Thank you so much, my dude. He says, hi, fellows and fellow #Game Cats. Big shout out to Whitticus. He made a Dreams level called The Collector of Souls, and he got Joe Mojo, our death metal game cat, to do the voices in the game, and it's pretty good. It's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, it's like a first-person melee move-enabled game, which there are not many of, honestly, out there on the Dreams.
It's the Dark Souls of Dreams games.
Whatever.
It's the Dark Souls
of Dreams games.
Yeah.
And we've also got a jiggle for this guy.
AJ, you got to read his name, man, because you do it better than anyone.
Bit Jello Boy 30, that jiggly gamer cat with $5 donation, says, got to get back to work. Excited to see more on Onslaught. Stay awesome and see you all on Discord. Make sure you guys join our Discord down below. It's been a party all the time. It's great.
Indeed. Yes, indeed.
Dave, I just want to get back to what you were saying before we did tips. And that's that I thought Saints and Sinners was so successful because all you needed to know about The Walking Dead was that you were a person and that there were lots of zombies around. And that's all you need to know. And so, like, I haven't tuned into the Walking Dead TV series in literally, I don't know how many seasons there are, but I haven't watched it since the first season because.
Well, here's a spoiler: Carol becomes awesome. Okay. Carol becomes like the most.
I don't even know who Carol is. That's the worst part.
She's in the first season, so you just didn't pay attention. But
I don't know people's names. Yeah.
She's the lady who has like her husband
Short
is
hair.
like she's
You don't
her
go into the
husband is feeding
backstory.
her. And she becomes like whatever, he dies, whatever.
It's the lady with the short hair.
Okay.
Short hair, gray hair lady. Yeah, she's great.
Oh no, I totally remember her now. Okay, cool. Well, that's cool to know that she's survived all this time.
Well, she's one of the main characters. Yeah, she's great.
Okay.
She's badass.
So, but that's the thing is like that. So I thought Saints and Sinners did this so well, where it's like all you needed to know was that there are walkers and that you're trying to survive. And so it would be nice to get a touch of the TV series for the fans of the TV series specifically, but also for people like me who tuned out fucking years ago. You know, it's like if they go too heavy into that, they're gonna lose me the second I walk in and go, "What's everyone talking about? I just got here. What's going on?" You know. So I think there's going to be a happy medium to make everybody happy.
Yeah, I think on the flip side of that, there's millions of people who've kept up to the show like to this day and are still watching it. I didn't even know it was still on. I thought it was done already, but it's still going.
I just started watching Fear the Walking Dead because I was like, I'm just going to start the other series.
Yeah, there's a side project now.
Yeah.
They got a whole side project.
It's kind of cool. I like it.
I mean, AMC is raking in their cash because everybody likes that show.
Right.
But I think that they will do good to be in that happy medium, like you said, because callbacks to the show are going to go a long way with that huge, huge player base who bought a VR headset because they want to be Daryl Dixon. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
I know,
or they want to be Carol. Maybe they want to be Carol.
The chat will kill me for this. I don't like Norman Reedus. Like he seems like a very nice guy, but I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of his role.
Death Stranding.
That's why I didn't play Death Stranding.
As Norman Reedus, I've drank probably 100 cans of Monster Energy drink, and I love that motherfucker. It's incredible. Tips.
Boondock Saints, man. That's where I first saw him and loved that movie back in the day.
Joe Gruber, the effing game cat, says $5. Bubble wide angle face looks like one of the TVs in 12 Monkeys.
Huh.
Wouldn't let me tip because of the M word. Took forever to fix. What the fuck? I think some people as a monkey. Racially, some people call people monkeys as a slur or derogatory thing. So maybe that's why YouTube auto tags that as like not acceptable, because like people said Barack Obama looked like a monkey. People said like, you know, I don't know.
This is terrible. This is terrible. I didn't. How do I not? Okay. Let's move along.
I'm just saying. Yeah.
Thank you, Joe Grover, for the $5 donation.
I can go back to bubble wide angle if you want.
I'm learning all sorts of terrible things about racism right now. I hate this.
Racism sucks.
Yeah. If you're racist, just unsubscribe and don't come back, please.
Sucks.
Yeah.
Racism sucks.
That's right.
That's all I'm going to do with it like that.
How I want to ask you guys, as we go down on this Walking Dead Onslaught symposium, I want to ask you guys your opinion, and I think this is a really important question. How important is it that Walking Dead Onslaught is even nearly as good as Saints and Sinners?
Very important, highly important, 1,000%.
Yeah, it's gotta. I mean, look, everybody was excited because it was the multiplayer, right? I kept saying, well, it's got nothing to worry about because it's got multiplayer.
Right.
Saints and Sinners doesn't have multiplayer, so it'll be different. That's the one thing people keep asking for in Saints and Sinners. So now it kind of changes the game. And yeah, this still has a lot going on for it because A, usually zombie games are pretty fun, and B, this has the cast. This is surrounding the TV show. So people that are attached to the TV show that have a huge connection, like Dave was saying, that's a lot of people, will still enjoy the characters and the lore and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's very important that this is really good because people are going to be comparing it to Saints and Sinners a lot. And in case you missed it, we just gave that our #1 PSVR game spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, I gotta say, Silent Evil 999. This should be a box quote on the back of Death Stranding because it's great. He says, "Norman Reedus and the Funky Fetus." I think that should be the Cliff's Notes version of what Death Stranding is. Norman Reedus and the Funky Fetus.
Good call. I don't know. I got to say that I feel like Onslaught is doing enough different stuff where I don't even feel like they're competing with Saints and Sinners at this point. I'm excited to play another zombie game.
But they're losing some of the uniqueness that they had because when it was 4-player multiplayer, people thought, oh, is this the next Left 4 Dead? And that's a big thing. If you say this is going to be Left 4 Dead in VR, that's what people were talking about in the discussion of this game like a year ago. So now we're at a point where that's entirely off the table, and they have to define this narratively in a way where, maybe Saints and Sinners doesn't go that far with the narrative, but there's a clear storyline. There's characters, there's motivations, stuff happens. And from the trailer, all I saw was combat. And I'm wondering with these voiceovers and stuff, like, where does the actual story happen? What is the format in which we're incorporating this?
Didn't I already answer that? It was The Walking Dead is Onslaught is set shortly after the Savior War in an Alexandria.
No, I'm not saying when the timeline.
That's a setup.
I'm not saying
though.
when the timeline.
What do you mean?
What I'm saying is in the game, when are they delivering story? How are they delivering?
Are there
story?
NPCs you're going to talk to? Or
Exactly. That's the thing. Like, if this is a campaign that they cut out multiplayer for, is it still just an arcadey, slash them up?
It probably is mostly, probably mostly. I would think.
So that's what I'm wondering, because they throw in Norman Reedus talking, and they're like, oh, it's these characters. This is important. But, like, what is the story? That's what I need to know. Like, what is the depth? What is the meat on the bones of this game?
What I'm seeing in the trailer, there's a scene with like an explosion way off in the distance, like shit's happening like far away from you. I'm like, what the hell is that about? There's a scene where you see a police car drive by on the street past you. Like, what's that about, right?
Yeah.
And with base building or whatever the hell it is, I feel like there's already enough stuff going on here where I'm like, this is differentiating itself as a different game. Yeah, it's more hordes of walkers, but I feel like it already seems different enough where I'm like, it doesn't have to be as good as Saints and Sinners. And isn't the price like $30? Didn't we get a confirmation on this? $30 for the normal and $40 for the deluxe edition. And so they're already setting people's expectations, I think, in the right place, saying this is 25% less than Saints and Sinners that came out months ago.
Well, I think we'll probably end up deciding that it's 25% less of a game. Based on what I've seen, I think it looks like 25% less of a game. But if it's priced accordingly, that's good. And also, I hope to be surprised and be wrong, and it'll be great. Maybe I'm wrong. Servios has a good track record, but I would say probably not as stellar as Skydance.
Right.
Like the last game we got, Battle Wake, was fun. I liked Battle Wake, but no one loves Battle Wake today. No one plays Battle Wake right now regularly.
No one played Battle Wake a week after it came out. That was the problem.
That's what I'm saying. It's a good game, but it falls through pretty quickly.
Right.
And I hope that this isn't that, because Saints and Sinners I wanted to go back to way after I had beaten it, and I spent way extra time during the game.
I can still go back and play it.
I stretched out my first campaign playthrough because I wanted to scavenge more. I wanted to unlock more. I wanted to see more of what happened as the timer progressed and it got more difficult and stuff like that. So I just hope there's something like that draws me in this game.
I just, again, I think it's different enough where I don't want. It sucks, man. It sucks that it's another Walking Dead game that's coming out so close to the last Walking Dead game. I think that's their biggest issue, and I actually feel bad for them because, if they had figured out their shit earlier and gotten this game out like late last year or something, or even earlier this year, they could have had a chance. It looks great. I do think it looks good. What they're showing off in this trailer looks like it could be a lot of fun. So I just have my fingers crossed for them, man. I really don't think they've got anything to worry about. I think the name alone is going to sell it, but I just hope it doesn't turn out to be like, oh, which Walking Dead game are you talking about, the good one or the bad one? I just really don't want to end up in that situation.
Yeah. I mean, and we've been there before in the past with other Walking Dead games. Like there's Walking Dead games that are terrible.
Yeah.
And then there's also the Telltale Walking Dead games that are very good.
Yeah.
And here's the thing that's unfortunate to note here. The good games were based on the comics.
Right.
The bad games were based on the TV show.
This is true.
Inevitably, in every case so far, the good games were comic book games like Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners, and the bad ones were,
I got to read this comment. Richard Baki says, anyone else going to be annoyed if they have to swing their arms to move? It's like
so they've already said
vector.
that they won't. They said that they won't force that on you. There's going to be an option.
That's awesome.
There's an option for default movement.
Good.
So you don't have to swing your arms the whole time, but you can if you want to.
Also,
It's
Purpose
definitely
publishing this thing
interesting.
physically. Don't forget that. That's great. Like this, a little bit of a gold mine when they signed the deal with Survios. They're publishing some old Survios games, and they're also publishing this. A little delay. I think both EU and North America get released slightly, like a week or two later, a couple weeks after the digital release. So it's not a huge wait, but if you want this thing day one, unfortunately, you're still going to have to go digital.
We'll just go to Australia.
There you go. All right, what else we got for stories today?
Yeah.
Well,
what's
that
up?
is it for the news. But before we get out of here for the day, we've got a huge summer sale going on.
Ooh.
So as always, it's time for PSVR's Got Talent, where we go through the list of games on sale and give them 3 thumbs up, 3 thumbs down, or split decision victory, and tell you whether or not we think you should buy them. Starting with the first one is Super.
Hot.
How much is it on sale for?
I'm looking that up right now because
Oh,
I've already
okay.
purchased these games.
Yeah.
It is kind of hard for me to tell.
Just don't sign into your account. Use an incognito tab to go to
yeah.
the PSN store.
It's cool. I'm going to sign out right now.
Yeah.
Because literally every game is like purchased. So I can't
Here's
see-
here's the answer. Super hot to yes. I don't even care
Yes,
what
of
it's on
course.
sale for.
True.
Even full price. Buy Super Hot full
Right.
price. Get
This
out
is
of
true.
here.
And it is
$12.49.
$12.49.
God.
$12.50. Buy
That's
Super
pretty good.
Hot right
It's on our
now.
top 25, and I called it the most innovative shooter I've played in years.
Yes,
Okay.
that is a must-have for $12.
All
Real
right.
quick, She Who Games with her little monster cats. Brian, you want to read this one?
Sure. $15 donation. Thank you very much. Says Brian, buy a toy for Kitten and the coffee too. Thank you so very much. I appreciate that. Tornado also appreciates that. Thanks for keeping us alive over here.
Okay, so Super Hot. Thumbs up for
Thumbs
me.
up, of course. All the way.
Thumbs
Yep.
up from everybody.
Nice and easy.
Thumbs
It
up.
passes. It's going to Hollywood. All right.
Bingo, bingo.
Next, we have Borderlands 2 VR for $20.
Easy thumbs up.
Yes.
Get-
Especially with the DLC that was free. Like, you got more game now. AJ, are you still playing through Tiny Tina's DLC?
I am still playing through Tiny
Every
Tina's
weekend.
DLC.
Every weekend, this guy streams for like 2-3 hours, and he's still playing through this
Just
one DLC.
this
pack.
DLC, and lo and behold, the DLC is fantastic. It is
Yeah.
so good. It's not
It's
like
really
I'm
cool.
stuck in one area. Every stream, I complete a different section of the DLC, and it's like it could be a full game in itself. Just
Well,
this
it's,
DLC.
it's almost like do you remember when Far Cry had that spin-off Blood Dragon?
Blood
Is that what
Dragon.
it's called?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what it seems like. It's a whole different scenario. It looks different. It's a different world, but it's part of the Borderlands thing. It's like got a medieval vibe, but it's pretty cool.
It's more like
I
Far
love how
Cry
the chat.
Primal.
Chat, I love this. You need to start doing this from now on. Donatello and Lipnox they're doing their thumbs up as well. I want to see your thumbs up, your thumbs down. So Borderlands 2 VR, $20, absolutely 2 thumbs up.
Especially with the aim controller.
Especially with the aim controller, absolutely.
One of the best aim games out there.
Very good, very good. It's
excellent.
What's
Next we have, let's see. Next we have the Sega Genesis Classics, which has VR support, as we know, for $11.99.
okay. So if you like Sega games a lot, it's cool. Don't expect the online multiplayer to be very good because it's very choppy. They've never fixed that, and that's been there since the flat screen version of it. I tried it, and it's fun to be able to play with people online. You know, we're playing like, I don't know, some of the best Sega Genesis games out there, like Gunstar Heroes 2-player. But there's a lot of lag, and it's not very good. But if you're going to play by yourself, it's good flat screen or VR just to have all these classic Genesis games for $12. I think it's a good package.
Yeah, for flat screen,
regardless, like either way.
Flat screen thumbs up, VR thumbs down.
Yeah,
really?
agreed.
Okay, is that how you feel? Okay, yeah.
I agree with that too. I'm pretty much, I love these games, but yeah, it's a thumbs down for me.
It's got a cool interface as far as picking games and stuff, and
yeah, it's gimmicky for me, and I don't want to play.
It is gimmicky.
What I love about retro games, especially the 8 and 16-bit era, is seeing them in like super HD, like HDMI output, right? So you got like this super clear, crisp display on your HD TV, like seeing it like in all its retro glory, and it's just so not that when you're playing on a CRT television in VR. It's just like, this isn't how I want to play retro games at all.
Yeah. I mean, there are some people who will enjoy the sort of, it's almost like a pixel ripped kind of thing, where it's like you're in the environment in which you would have played those games in your kid's bedroom with your setup and your games on the shelf and stuff. So I think there is some nostalgia value there in VR, but probably it's more fun to play the games flat. So.
All right, so next we've got Moss for $14.99.
Thumbs up.
I not only paid $30 for Moss, I bought a $15 mug that I love to death, and I bought a $20 poster, which Dave used to have behind him.
It got dripped on. I still have it, but it got dripped on by my AC. You can see these are catching.
But it's not there, right? It's not there anymore, right?
I took it off the wall so it didn't get fucked up. Yeah.
Right. So it's not there behind you anymore. This is a big fat yes for me. This is one of my favorite PSVR games. One of the best characters ever created. Huge thumbs up in the chat as well. Not only this, guys, let me let you know a little secret. There is also the dynamic theme for 99 cents. I originally got this dynamic theme for pre-ordering the game. So you're like, I hate all of you that can now buy it, because it is the best theme. It is the best PSVR theme, in my opinion. It is absolutely amazing. It's very relaxing and awesome. I
gotta interject. The best theme is Corn Love Forever. And I don't know, Brian, if you can play a video of Corn Love Forever on YouTube right now, but it's the best theme, and everyone should take a look at it.
Is it? Okay, anyways.
Well,
it's not PSVR related, right?
Well, neither is your theme.
Moss is a PSVR game, dude.
But you look at it on your flat screen when you're in the theme.
But it's a PSVR game.
Yeah, fine.
But yeah, so thumbs up for me, thumbs up from Dave, maybe, thumbs up for Brian.
Moss, yes, thumbs up.
15. He's Dave with the middle finger because he's salty. All right. Next we have Carnival Games. This ought to be interesting. Let's see what Carnival.
It's all about the price with Carnival Games.
Yep, all about the price here. $4.99.
Yep, do it. It's not a great game, but it's a good collection of games. I think Carnival Games is $5 of fun for sure.
Yeah, $4.99 is easily a great price. The ring toss alone and the climbing game. The climbing game is really good. That's worth $5. Yeah,
that's the DLC though.
No.
The climbing game is in the base game.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it was
nice.
It shipped on launch.
Okay. I bought that
DLC. The DLC has stuff like
the mini golf.
Mini golf is okay. It's not great.
I'm actually going to say thumbs down for this. You guys are both thumbs up
for $5.
Yes,
sure.
Yes. Because no matter, even if something's $1, if I'm not interested in playing it, I'm not paying $1 for it.
Yeah, that's why I
Like-
say don't buy Last Labyrinth at any price because it's horrible.
Probably so,
I
yeah,
would rather play Carnival games for $5 than Last Labyrinth.
I would
$5.
rather play that, but I'd
Agreed.
rather play
Yeah,
neither one. Like I'd rather
Here's one
play.
thing. Here's one thing about Carnival games. That dude will not shut the hell up.
Yeah.
That guy can. I wish they had an option to turn him off.
There's no voice. I think there's a slider for the voice.
Oh, there might be a slider. Okay, but like to just make him not exist anymore because like he's so obnoxious.
Yeah.
He just will not stop.
I
talking
am,
about it.
for the record, I am by no means saying it is a bad game. I just,
You're
in
saying
terms
You
of
wouldn't buy
my
it for
taste-
$5.
You gave it a
You're saying
thumbs
it's a
down.
bad game.
It's all good. We're okay.
I think you're saying
We're all
it's a bad
good.
game.
Yeah.
We're not judging you, AJ. You can say no, and we
Next.
won't hate you for it.
Let's go next.
All
It's
right,
been-
next. Oh
hours.
God,
What
Art
is this?
Park for
For how
$25.
Even that is
It's
way
half
too
off.
much.
Half off
That's
for
a
$25.
$2.50 game.
That
Yeah.
is
That's a
hardly.
treat fitting game.
Yeah, I can actually see I can actually see that for $5 because it got better, and there's actually a game there somewhere. And if you really want to commit a ton of hours, yeah, but that's it. Like $5 maximum for Art Park. 25, big thumbs down. Tornado,
Absolutely.
Tornado's losing her
Johnny,
goddamn
Johnny
mind.
No Pockets, that game cat, points to the left and goes, "Wait, am I doing this right?"
I mean that's a thing. Yeah, it's like a middle of the road.
Close enough, right?
Getting there.
Right.
We're getting there.
Arc Park, hard pass.
Yeah.
Hell
Yeah,
no.
we're passing that one.
One of the worst PSVR games ever made.
Very bad.
What do we got next? Tokyo Chronos. Doesn't even matter the price. Wait, right?
What is the price?
Let's see the price. I think it's like $12. Let me see.
That's
Don't.
way better.
Oh my God, no! It is $29.99.
No,
No, too much. $12 is the right price for that.
I wouldn't buy that at any price. I love visual novels, and Tokyo Chronos didn't deliver that good of a story. Didn't bother translating it to English. It's just so you're sitting in VR reading subtitles the entire time. I don't think the character models were all that good. I think the scale was off. I thought there was nothing to do. So if you're a Danganronpa fan, like if you like that style of visual novel, none of that exists in this. Like there's no gameplay. You're literally just reading 100% of the time with nothing to do.
Would you suggest the Midnight Sanctuary as an alternative for visual novel games? Because I feel like that's one of the better ones that we have, because a lot of them suck ass entirely.
I think I've only gotten about an hour into Midnight Sanctuary, so I don't want to say either way.
It's still better than a lot of the other ones out there,
Yeah.
even though the graphics aren't as good.
I do hope Tokyo Chronos gets to make a sequel like they want to. I think they're going to, and I really hope that they learn from what worked and what didn't. Because I would have loved Tokyo Chronos, I want to clarify, as a Vita game. Like curl up in bed and read it on a little screen, like while I'm doing, not with a fucking VR headset on my face for hours at a time.
I think what people don't understand about that format is that you have to make something happen. Like, you can't sit there and read text in a VR headset
For
hours.
15
the
hours.
worst place.
Like,
That
it's
is
not
the worst place to
fun.
try and read.
Yeah, like, I don't go there to read a book. I'm not like, oh, do they have Kindle in VR? Like,
That's
no
what it
no
is.
one asks that. Like, it's not.
I tried with Scraper First Strike, something I was actually interested in. I just couldn't do
because
it.
they put a whole book inside the game.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to read a whole book in VR. They should
No.
mail you a copy
I
if you
laughed
buy it.
so hard about that.
I tried. Big thumbs down. I don't even like visual novels. I hardly even know what that is.
The VR grid says sequel is out this year, so apparently they're making it. That's good.
All right, bingo.
This
bango.
one should be interesting. I already have my answer though, but Wolfenstein Cyber Pilot for $7.99.
Okay,
That's
so-
my answer.
My answer is it would be okay for $5, and so this is close enough to $5 where I go, know what you're getting into. Watch my review first, and maybe it's not horrible.
Thumbs. Let's do just a wobbling hand. It's sort of like, it's kind
I'm
of.
still gonna say no because
Yeah.
it's an hour and a half and it's over.
Yeah, it's
and-
short.
and
For
it-
$8, I mean, for $8, a VR experience, it's an hour and a half. That's not that bad, actually.
It's
Like,
not. It's again not bad, but I'm really trying to. You don't want to take away from Borderlands 2, Super Hot, Moss.
You know
like,
what?
These are games that it's
Yeah.
like you need to buy these games. Don't spend money on this. Buy those instead.
Here's actually why I'm changing my vote. I'm watching everybody give a thumbs down and say pass in the chat, and I agree with you guys. You know why? Because it looks really good, but that's all it really does well. The combat is really boring when you're in that kind of mech thing. You're just walking around like there's no challenge whatsoever. So I am going to rescind my meh to a no.
And it's an hour and a half, and it's done
The other thing,
forever.
too, is like the fun of Wolfenstein essentially has always been
Running
killing
gun
Nazis. Killing Nazis. No, killing Nazis.
and
like,
running
Well, no, but the story,
and brutal difficulty,
The
like
campaign-
metal as fuck.
the campaign of the most recent Wolfenstein games is so intensely about fuck Nazis that it's like really a thing. But in this, you're not only disembodied from that because you're in a mech, you're also in the game. They put you in a screen room where it's like you're not even in the actual mech that you're controlling. The game designs this aspect where it's like you're looking at screens that make up your vision, which sort of takes you out of it another layer. And so you never feel like you're actually there doing stuff. It feels like you're controlling a drone or something,
Which
which is not that
what
satisfying.
they want you to think too.
It
yeah.
is what it is. It is
Yeah.
what it is. But it's just not that satisfying because the core fun factor of a Wolfenstein game is being the guy who's shooting the Nazis in the face in
All right.
person.
You know why I love this community, man? I mean, yeah, because look, they're so experienced. They're not just here listening; they're contributing as well.
Yeah.
They have
And I love the fact that there's so many like hardcore gamers here.
I love when they
fucking love
contribute, even when they're wrong.
I love it, man. I love it. I love you guys.
Kidding. I love you. For real.
Next, we've got Ski Jumping Pro
no.
for $9.99.
I agree. I would agree with the voice of God. That's a no.
I would say if you have dreams, there's this snowboarding game called Dream Boarders.
I want to shoot myself in the
Go
face.
check that one out instead.
My
It's a lot
11th
better.
commandment is that you play Dream Borders VR. I forgot that one at the beginning, but it's a very good game.
Ski Jumping Pro, to be fair, it wasn't as bad as I was expecting, but it's
Same.
still not that great.
Same.
It'd be $5 at best. We've said this before.
It's a $5 game, and it should be $5 retail,
and-
not $5 on sale.
You can literally make something better in Dreams in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
That's infinitely replayable. I promise you. So
I
yeah,
love this new aspect of it saying you can make this in dreams.
Yeah, no,
Right,
you
now
absolutely
that we
can.
actually
You can
know.
make it-
Yeah.
You can make something that looks better, that plays better, that has
Oh,
more
Dream Borders
content.
is better than fucking Ski Jump or whatever
Thank you.
this shit is. Yes.
All right, next
man.
one. What's
the
next?
11th commandment. That's in the Bible now. Somebody
All
write
right.
that down in the Bible. Who's got control of the Bible?
So,
11th commandment, play Dream Borders.
I know a guy.
Not me.
I know a guy.
Let's see here. Oh God, what is this? Project Lux.
The Pope follows me on Twitter.
I
even
don't
know
care
what
if this is free. Project Lux is fucking garbage. It's
This usually
it's
makes
so
Brian
bad.
very angry whenever I
This
mention
is why I
this game.
say visual novels have been fucking up.
Yeah.
Because this Project Lux is just terrible. Just
Yeah.
absolutely terrible. Not worth it for any price, as you said. Like, it's not worth sitting through.
It's a bad
It's just-
story. It's horribly translated. Everything's
garbage.
just wrong. Yeah.
Garbage.
Right.
Avoid.
How
Thumbs down
how much is it? Do
everywhere.
you have a price on it? I'm just-
$49.99.
oh Jesus, that's a sale price?
Dude, buy
No, absolutely
three
not.
Subway subs and eat them in a row, and you'll have a better experience. than if you-
I like that idea. I do. I like that
Yeah,
idea.
sounds-
Let's do that.
Awesome. All right.
Yeah.
Next is Persona 5 Dancing in Starlight.
It's not a VR game.
Yeah.
It's not a VR game. If you want to play the Persona rhythm game, buy it. If you don't, it's not a VR game. Avoid.
Okay.
Yeah, don't
So-
buy it for any VR component. I love the Persona
down.
everything. Persona everything is awesome, but don't buy it for the VR stuff.
Yeah, it's not a VR game at all.
Yeah.
Finally, last and possibly least,
Yeah.
Chest Ultra for $4.93.
Okay, so you can play against the Grim Reaper in this game, but it is very blurry. So
How
pass.
is Chest blurry?
It's the blurriest
blurry. It
fucking thing.
really
No,
is too.
People on my
Yeah.
stream still, it actually got a bunch of views, but people are complaining still to this day, like, this thing looks blurry as fuck.
Yeah.
What's wrong with your stream? And it's not the stream, it's the game. It looks terrible.
It's blurry
Um,
enough where I confuse the chess pieces, where I think one piece
that
is
a
another
rook?
piece,
that a
That is
king?
awful.
that a
And then-
knight? Is that a-
right,
That
Yeah.
is so terrible.
I thought a bishop was a pawn, and so then I get then I get totally slammed by the AI because I didn't know where my pieces were or what the pieces were. Yeah, no, it's unfortunately it's a no.
Lipnox even says in the chat, I love Chess Ultra, but it's blurry AF
Yeah.
as fuck.
Yeah.
We can use curse words here in the chat. You guys can in the chat, but we
But
can.
Lipnox is like 12. That's how they talk. Everything's AF.
Lipnox is not 12. He's like
I
39.
mean, I'm saying mentally. I'm not talking about his
He's
actual
in his
age.
mid, late 20s.
Come on.
Hey, leave Lipnox alone.
Zing.
I got you, Lipnox.
Listen,
Go.
I've only got about 2 mental years on Lipnox. I'm like 14
Ben
at
Schroeder,
best.
you got to read this, Brian. This
Oh.
is all you.
Ben Schroeder. Always good seeing Ben Schroeder. Let me read this over here. Ben Schroeder with a $2 donation saying, tuned in for Brian talking about Persona. My man.
Absolutely.
Right back at you. If you don't love Persona, then I don't know what you've been doing with your life.
So Brian, I got Persona 4 Golden on
For
my
Vita.
computer recently.
Oh, nice.
Should I play it? Is it good? It's good, right?
It's amazing.
I still haven't played Persona 5 either, which I know is like
Also
the game.
amazing.
Incredible. Yes.
Yeah. I spent, dude, I can't even tell you how much time I spent with Persona 3 FES on PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
Like that I was playing that long after PlayStation 3 came out. Like, I mean, 100 hours easily. PlayStation 3 is just sitting in the corner doing nothing, playing Persona 3 on PlayStation 2. The Persona games are just awesome. They really, if we got Persona 5 in VR, you would never see me for like, I mean, easily 200 hours. I'd be somewhere else.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it takes 100 hours just to beat the game. So, like, obviously. Yeah.
Also recommend playing Persona 4 Golden on Vita because, again, curl up in bed hours at a time.
I don't have a Vita. I wish I had a Vita.
My
if
should
I
we or
bought a
shouldn't we?
Vita-
My Vita's charging right now because my should we or shouldn't we?
You gotta play Spelunky. Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Was that it?
What's next?
That's the last one?
Joe, guys.
Oh
That's
my
it.
god, it's almost
it.
exactly 3 hours.
Oh.
2 hours, 57 minutes.
It seems like days since Mark was here.
I know it does. God damn it. This show has expanded. Someone talked about me being bloated. Check this out. When I do
Bloated?
this thing. No, when I do this. When I look bloated. Here's what I'm saying. This is not Kurosawa mode, but the show has become 3 hours long every time, and that's rough. We should trim this goddamn thing down a little bit.
Let us know in the comments, guys. You want the show to be shorter?
No, they don't want the show to be shorter. They want it to be 8 hours long. God damn it! Fuck.
It's all right. We can tag you out halfway through, man. We'll find
No, I'll be here. I'll do the whole thing.
the second Dave hears he can be replaced. He's like, no, I take it back. I'll totally stay. Everything's totally fine. I love 3 hours. It's great. I love how I turn to Kermit the Frog when I impersonate Dave.
3 hours used to be the top 20 debate, and we were like, "Oh my god, that took so long." Now 3 hours is default.
I think if
The
you
top
go back, you'll
25
see
debate
it was even
is
longer
like
than that.
5 hours long. This is inside baseball, guys. I'm sorry I'm complaining about this in the middle of the show, but we can wrap it up. AJ, what do you got to say?
Take us home, Brian.
Yeah.
All right, cool, guys. Another successful PSVR Gamescast live. I
How many thumbs up are we giving this one?
Big thank you to our guest as well.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, to everybody over at Skydance Interactive, to Mark specifically, everybody who hung out in the chat from Skydance, and of course now all the Game Cats who hung out in the chat, everybody who donated, all of our Patreon supporters, everyone who's clicking that Discord link because you know you want to hang out with us even after the show. How can you not be sick of us yet? Fucking insanity. I don't know how you're doing it. But that's it. And also thank you, of course, to all the people who sat back, didn't say a word, and just enjoyed the show. Because I was once one of you, and I love you just as much as everyone
And
else.
now look at him. Look at him now.
An embarrassment to the world. I'm sorry, Mom and Dad.
No.
I wish I'd done something with my life. I'm so sorry.
No, this is like an ugly duckling story.
I used to be way cuter, so now it doesn't work at all.
You've become a swan, my friend.
Thank
are
you.
a swan.
Make sure you subscribe to Dave over at Dave Station VR. Subscribe to AJ over at PlayStation VR Underground, PSVR Underground. Thank you to all of our moderators who keep this train wreck riding smooth. Man, this could be so much worse if it wasn't for them. You all are awesome.
Yeah.
We appreciate every single thing you do for us. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, AJ. Thank you, Cats. My name's Brian. This is PSVR Gamescast,
Exactly 3 hours long.
and we're out.
Exactly 3 hours.
Cue the cat.
Get that cat in there. We have 1 minute left
Right.
to be exactly 3 hours
Thank
long.
you so much to GamerChick13. Thank you, Tiff, for
Getting Mark in here. Thank you.
Mark in here. Thank you.
He didn't want to do
Congrats on the
it. He
game.
didn't want to do it. Tiff made him do
And
it.
I'm really looking forward to the Brass Knuckles crossbow and was it chainsaw that you're gonna be adding for me. I really appreciate it. Steve IRE,
What about a
Robert
BFG?
Sullivan,
We need BFG.
Roy
Jetpacks.
Sport, just watching.
Jetpacks.
Bob Zarkoff, the Underground Dave Station Game Cat, still the greatest name of all time. Doug Fu, Ninja Cat, Andrew C, Day One 420, the Game Cat, Decepticon. Yeah. Thumb Game, Nightmare Creature, Big Fat Frog 1909, Kill Artist, Dreamweaver, Game Cat, Johnny No Pockets, that Game Cat, Ash 454, PSVR Underground says this is the Dark Souls of Games Cat. Hack the Game Cat is lit, y'all. VR Grade, what's up, Ryan? Everybody check out Ryan over at the VR Grade as well. Stuff. He's a cool guy, eh?
Hey, he does
the
box,
Game
he
Cat.
does box quotes with the best of them.
Charles Whittakus, that one Game Cat. Make sure you go check out the Collective Souls on Dream. Nightmare Creature, Communist Picnic Cat Game. Johnny Ripe off the Stray Cat. Justin Credle, my dude with the knowledge bombs as always. Thank you for always having your back. Vegan VR King, Fist Bump, Vegan Duck Game Cat. Salvador Saavedra. Thank you so much, man. Delirium Drew VR, my dude. Rody, the Game Cat. Good to see you, brother. Hope you're staying safe out there. Ben Schroeder. I'm running out of names.
Okay,
That's it. We ran out of theme song too.
Can we do a
Donatello
haiku?
the Scientist
Can we
Game
do a
Cat
haiku
passed me a
at the
ninja
end?
slice.
We can do a haiku only if you
again.
promise
Try and
that
do
I
a
can
haiku.
stop the stream as soon as you're done.
Okay, sure. Let me
All right.
think of one. Hold on. Okay. Mark, what was his last name? Brian, I know you know how to pronounce it.
I don't know how to pronounce it.
You said it like 5 times and you got it right every time.
It's Domowicz.
Domowicz is 3 syllables. Okay. Mark Domowicz came. We had a decent GAMESCAST. And also love y'all. That's a haiku.
That's it, everybody. We love you all. Meow meow.